Sports Talk 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushes.
Awesome Game 7.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun.
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
And welcome into the Monday edition of Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Joe Rexrode, what's going on? How are you?
Fine. I'm looking at the live stream right now. That red shirt. So Katie tells me not to wear red shirts because my red, ruddy complexion really comes through. And I'm looking at the live stream, and I do look kind of like the Kool-Aid guy.
I think you look great.
I'm good. I don't know, man. It's a little bit much. So I apologize for those who are viewing the live stream.
Which you can check out on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook.
Yes.
Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Michelle, how are you? What's going on? How was some tennis action in Cincinnati?
Yeah.
Guys, Cincinnati was awesome, but I was watching tennis, and then all of a sudden I looked at the clock, and I was like, I have been up for 22 hours straight. It went till like 1 a.m.
Oh, Friday night?
I was like, this needs to, because there were a couple tiebreakers, but it was probably one of the most incredible things ever. I feel like I've never given tennis the amount of appreciation it deserves. Watching it on TV, but then like sitting there, those are some freakish athletes.
Oh, yeah.
That was amazing. And then long weekend. And guys, today's first day of classes.
Oh, boy.
Professor Michelle.
Oh, this is it. This is the first class.
I already had somebody email to miss. I'm like, oh, great. Here we go.
Wait,
get after
someone emailed what?
To miss class.
Really? Someone
day.
emailed to miss first day.
Yeah, but
Man.
here's the thing.
That
At
takes
least
me
they
back to
emailed.
college.
Yeah. I didn't send emails.
Yeah, I
didn't
didn't
have
show up.
emails.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I saw it this morning, so it definitely was sent like after I was asleep, and I'm like, dude, come on. We're going to are you go like, come on, I know it's syllabus week.
By the way, so the syllabus is all ready.
It is. I turned it in last Friday.
How big is the syllabus?
30 pages.
Like 5.
5-page syllabus.
Yeah, but no, but
Wow.
2 of the pages are just like all the policies and everything like that. So my stuff that like you have to do is only like a page and a half.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. That's good.
Big day.
Wow. What time's class start?
Are you going to show up? 6
I
p.m.
know.
Well, we'll
Maybe.
see.
If I didn't have a JV football game tonight,
12 hours
I
from
might
right now.
crash that class. Big time.
Big time. Big time.
Professor K.
Here on the program. How about we'll get to the Titans here in just a few minutes. I do want to mention Nolensville, baby. They're off to an impressive start at the Little League World Series. They're in action again today. Scheduled to start around, I think, 2 today is when the game is supposed to begin. So we'll see what happens on that front. But Nolensville, they're winning. They're rolling.
Winning big, crushing people. And it's like they're like Oregon football too. It's like every game you got a different uniform. I think the last one was like, is that actually like the Southeast team who just wears that uni? Yeah. But they've had different variations and they're crushing. So winners bracket, and I think if they win, I want to say if they win, then it's one more win to get. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's still 2 more if they win today. I could actually verify this by looking at the bracket, but they're in great shape in the winners bracket. I know that.
They have looked very, very impressive so far. So continued good luck and success to Nolensville as they continue their path in the Little League World Series coming up later today. Looking forward to that. It feels like, first off, we've been pretty fortunate around here. We've had a lot of different teams that have made it to the Little League World Series over the course of the past decade plus. Pretty good area for some youth baseball around here.
Yes, it is.
No question about
Clearly.
it. So good luck to Nolensville coming up today. What a game over the weekend, Joe Rexrode. The Titans and the Bucks. Titans win 13-3 in the all-important results of the preseason. We're going to spend the next hour kind of taking some thoughts away from the game, what we saw and what it means as we move forward here. We'll take your thoughts, as always, on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Joe, before I get to all my other thoughts on the Titans, my overarching theme was this. That was about my breaking point of preseason football the other night. I was just like, all right, it's time to get to the regular season. It was, I don't know about you, maybe you disagree. It is pretty rough out there.
I got to say, man, I totally disagree. Like I'm actually sad. I'm sad about the child leaving home, but more so that I have to move him in this coming weekend and miss that.
I'm sure you are.
I mean, it is going to be an absolute. It is the Titans' chance to get revenge on the Arizona Cardinals, and they are going to come out fired up, baby. Yeah.
That offensive line's going to block so well.
Yeah, Chandler Jones, sit down.
That's right.
J.J. Watt, you get nothing. Kyler, here's some video game jokes. I don't know. Yeah, no, it's pretty bad, man. It's to the point. And I look around. I mean, gosh, last night I was watching a little bit of like the Giants. Who the heck were they? It was a great Giants Bengals. It was a great back and forth game. I thought Davis Webb did throw the ball. I'm like, gosh, is Davis Webb better than Daniel Jones? I don't know, but boy, it's a tough sell anymore, man. It is a tough sell anymore, and I understand why coaches have gone the way they've gone. I know that people have talked about this before, and NFL owners would laugh at you, but your season tickets should be free. I mean, you can split it up and say it is whatever it is. Season tickets should include free admission to preseason games, but general public should also they should be like $5 tickets.
Just get in there.
I guess it was about 50% full the other night, something like that. Which it wasn't bad. Like it was a pretty decent crowd for what it is, But it's a tough watch, and you got to really, really. Look, the Titans are more interesting this year because of Malik Willis, but other than that, you've got to scrounge to find interesting things. There were some guys on the field who will matter at least. This was the most participation we'll see. The next one will be very bottom of the roster.
No question about it. So let's start with the Malik Willis side of things. I thought kind of like the first game. There were some moments where he looked really good. He was decisive with the ball. Obviously, some big plays running the football as well, including that 24-yard run that, I think one thing that I was watching for with him that you pointed out last week, which I think is pretty evident, outside of just running the ball, which he's obviously very gifted at, he is very elusive in the pocket. It's very difficult to corral that guy and get him, in your sights if you're a rusher. So I think that's going to serve him well as they move forward. There are also some plays where he threw the ball and you're just like, ooh, I don't know, man. It's still – I don't feel really all that much different about him after watching him Saturday than I did last week in terms of it's still pretty apparent that he's a long way off from being ready to play in an NFL football game. I like the talent. He finished 7 of 17 for 80 yards, a touchdown. He had all the time in the world on that touchdown pass, and he ripped it in there to Okonkwo. So, it was a good throw. He made a couple of throws the other night where it looked like he was in rhythm and on time, and the arm strength is pretty apparent. But all in all, what were your takeaways from Malik Willis and his performance on Saturday?
Yeah, I agree. That's the thing is running it, yes, we know that, and you saw it again. I think he had 42 yards rushing. But it is the ability to sidestep and elude. If he gets to the point, where, it's boom, boom, he's seen it, the ball's, for the most part, coming out, and then he also has that element, that's where you can see where that can be a problem for people, especially with that arm strength, because you get into, these scramble plays where, look, you're just, guys get open. If you can extend a play and then use that arm talent to make big plays, you can see where he could be a problem. It's just he's still so far away on the quick read, get it out. The first play was kind of designed to go there. He was actually not totally accurate on it, but it was fine. Got it to Westbrook Keenan, got a big gain. Like you said, stands in there. There aren't going to be a lot of plays where you have that much time. But at least he stood in there, let things clear, let Okonkwo get across, and he, like you said, he ripped it to him. I thought it was, I guess it was. I was going to say step forward. I think it's about the same thing as the first game, right? You can see some plays where you're like, ooh, and then you can see all the work that needs to be done. I think the biggest difference for me after this game, and I don't want to overreact here, but I'm starting to open my mind a little bit to Malik Willis being QB2. I just Logan Woodside's got to play better than he's playing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. The answer to that question is in that building, and a lot of it is like when they go through the roster, how much does it hurt to keep 3? You know? And if you're like, you know what, we can build a game plan in a pinch around Malik and feel we're still running the ball, we're still playing defense. We now have his run element, and if Woodside is going to play like this, you might still be better off there.
You might be.
Again, after the first preseason game, I was still poo-pooing that completely. I feel like Logan Woodside is just I don't know. I think he's fighting himself or whatever the situation's affecting him, or I don't know what it is, but he's just played poorly for a week plus now. And so I think that's worth at least considering at this point. I still would pick, if I had to pick right now, the roster, it'd be 3 quarterbacks and Woodside would be QB2. I'd say this is a big week for him.
Well, Woodside has not responded well since that Baltimore game. He just hasn't. And, you know, that's concerning to me moving forward here. Like, we keep talking about, is Malik Willis ever going to get a look for an entire preseason game? I'd honestly, coming up next week, if you're still deciding between the two of them, I say you give one of them a full half and the other one the full second half. Like, I think Logan Woodside, he needs to play, and he needs to show that he's worthy of having this job, because right now I do not feel good about – look, very few situations, albeit, do you feel good about backup quarterback around the league in general in terms of winning a game. But this is almost to a different extreme right now. Like, I don't think Malik Willis is ready to play in an NFL game. And quite frankly, what I've seen from Logan Woodside thus far, I don't think you can win with that. Like, even if you're trying to run the ball and play defense, like, you're going to have to make some throws. And I don't have a whole lot of confidence in that right now.
Yeah, I mean, the big difference in Woodside's favor is there's still some things where you can see where it's like it's coming together for him and the ball's out fast, you know. And so those little check downs, those little drag routes or whatever, like I mean, he's certainly been in this offense for a while. Like, he's better at stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, you do have to make throws. And I mean, he's had a chance to. We'd be talking about different things for 2 plays, and also we'd be talking about, wow, Traylon Burks, you know, if he just had put a little air under 2 passes to Burks that were instead a pick and a PBU. Yep. But just a lot of other plays with him, he just it just doesn't look great. And it's third string offensive lineman and all that stuff. He's not getting the same guys that Willis has all together, but I'd say, a pretty disappointing. That's going to be really interesting how Vrabel plays that this week into Saturday.
We're off and running here today on Robby and Rexrode, taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We'll continue the discussion coming up next. Ed, hang with us. We'll get to you on the other side. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Unused prescription opioids can spell harm if taken by someone they weren't prescribed for. Find safe drug take-back options at fda.gov/drug disposal. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Save big this Labor Day at Electronic Express. Get a Samsung 65-inch 4K TV for only $5.99 or a Whirlpool 4-piece kitchen package for just $27.99. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, mattresses, and more. Don't miss out on an Acer gaming laptop for just $6.99 or a Google Nest Hub for only $54. Shop in-store or online with up to 36 months free financing. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Start the second half of the baseball season the right way and turn Ks into cash and big hits into big wins with FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just sign up using promo code PLAY. Place your first bet, and FanDuel will give you up to $1,000 back in match bets if you don't win. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up using promo code PLAY to get started with your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000.
21 plus and present in Arizona, Connecticut, Iowa, Illinois, Louisiana. Permitted parishes only. Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, West Virginia, or or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Illinois. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789 in Tennessee. 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia.
Well, you've got the whole world listening. What do you got to say? Never miss a moment of the show. Subscribe to the Robby and Rexrode podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
I just think it's tough to run, talk to him about running out of the back of the pocket. And there's times where he's going to take off and make plays and protection breaks down and he's going to shrug guys off, and he did that and found Dez, found Hassan. I don't want to see anybody get hurt, especially our quarterbacks. And just, you run out of the back of the pocket in this league, these guys are coming. So we'll continue to coach him and his pocket presence and being able to keep his eyes downfield. And, it's such a fine line. But just look at the beginning part of the game and the one, timing pass that we needed to complete and wanted to see him do. He did it. So, we at least made some progress there, and then we'll continue to work, on some of the other stuff.
That was Titans head coach Mike Vrabel on the performance of Malik Willis on Saturday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Got a little choked up at the end of it, I guess.
Was he crying there? By the way, did you guys see the video of Teresa Walker giving Vrabel the Pro Football Writers Association Coach of the Year?
Yes.
Okay. This is my question.
The answer is yes. I know what you're going to ask.
What? What do you think?
Is that the happiest he's ever been in a press conference?
That wasn't what I was going to ask.
Okay.
What I was going to ask is, because Vrabel's like, clap, everybody, put your phones on. So I wasn't there. I got to know who clapped. I got to know who clapped. Was Kaharski there?
I think so.
If Kaharski was there, he's got a list. He's got a list.
Of who clapped?
Oh, yeah.
We'll ask him on Wednesday.
They will be shamed.
Yes.
They will be publicly shamed one by one. Don't clap at a press conference. That was funny, though. Come on, clap, you idiots.
Yeah, put your phones down.
If I was sitting there, I probably would have just clapped. And then I would have been like, what am I doing? Oh, gosh.
I mean, there was quite a bit of clapping.
Guy, yeah.
There was quite a bit of clapping. I'm just saying.
There was. It was very audible.
Now, if it was it could be that, because there's always Titans employees there. You know, there's Robbie Bourne and Kim Smith and Dwight Spradlin and Jared Puffer and Ashley Farrell's there. So, like, if it's Titans employees who clap, that's fine.
Sure.
If it's media people who clapped,
I
think they get their own rant daily. Each one gets his or her own rant daily.
That's right. 615-737-1025. Let's go to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Ed, who wants to weigh in. Ed, thanks for calling in to Robby and Rexrode.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, listen, my observation, the defense is outstanding. I think what we saw Saturday and the game before, you're going to see that all year long. There may be a game here or there where they may give up 30 or 40, but I think the Titans got a top 10 defense that's going to carry this team all year long. Second observation, look, I like Woodside. I don't know what happened to this guy. I mean, you remember there were times last year when we were all calling for Woodside to play. I don't know if his off season, if he didn't have any off season work or not, but he's just not looked good the first two games, and it's obvious that Willis is not ready yet. I mean, he's it's a working process, but it's going to take him some time. I think you set him on the bench. I think you have to carry three. You set Malik on the bench. Woodside's your number two, but he's got to get better, guys. And if he's not, then you might have to consider. I don't know. I hate to say get a veteran backup because I think Malik just needs to sit on the bench this year, learn, and obviously Tannehill, if he has a good year, doesn't get hurt, we don't have to worry about the second quarterback. So that's my observation of the game. I like what they did, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the call, Ed. Appreciate it. I mean, there's no question about it. Woodside has got to be better. Now, I don't know that people were clamoring for Woodside to play all year last year. But
I don't recall that. That is something that happens a lot, right? I don't recall people clamoring for Woodside. I will say this brings to mind Like on Twitter the other night, I did not realize all the analysts around the league who were talking about Malik Willis is going to take Tannehill's job this year. It's like, my Lord, really? But people were sending me receipts. They're like, yeah, look at this one, and look at this one, and look at this one. I'm like, what in the world is going on?
This is another good reminder of pay attention to your local folks. I'll leave it at that.
Well, I agree. It makes me think, like, how many other things that are just sort of, batted around about other teams, if you went into that city, they'd be like, oh, that's just so stupid. What are you talking about?
Completely asinine.
I wouldn't think there'd be a ton. Maybe I'm wrong. But this one is like, come on. And apparently then people are tweeting me like, oh, yeah, like a lot of people in the stadium Saturday think Malik Willis is going to be the starter this year or at some point. Like, really? But I agree with that on both things. I mean, look, the idea of going to get someone, it's an annual, it's like Groundhog Day, but I think it's something that I bet you John Robinson is having some discussions, about really, what if Tannehill's out for a game or two?
Well, look, I think in my opinion, they probably should have already reached the point, not where they've gone to get somebody, but regardless of what happens this week, if I'm John Robinson and the Titans, I'm at least taking a strong look at what's out there once roster cut day happens at quarterback. And look, maybe there's nothing out there to your liking that you feel better about than Logan Woodside. I don't know, but if it's me, I've already reached the point of I'm at least taking a pretty strong look at what's out there at quarterback come roster cut down day around the league. I think you have to.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do too. I mean, it's not ideal, to bring in someone cold and all that stuff, but like a Gabbert. I don't know. For a while the other day, I thought Kyle Trask looked kind of good, and then I didn't. But that would be if they don't want to carry three. Gabbert's been here, but yeah, I think that's got to be considered. And I agree on the defense. I mean, look, we didn't see the whole defense. I was interested that Bud Dupree played as much as he did.
I was too.
That was interesting to me. Landry take the night off. Jeff, Byard, Long, Cunningham. Everybody, you guys take the off. Bud Dupree, you got a bunch of series. It's interesting. I don't know what it means. Sometimes it's just like, hey, this guy, needs some work or whatever. But Rashad Weaver's out there looking pretty good. I'm starting to wonder if Rashad Weaver, in base defense, is out there some instead of Dupree. I don't know. That's a little bit of a hot take. But
if that's the case, that money's not looking very good right now with Bud Dupree.
Well, yeah, but I mean, to me, Bud Dupree's money is made in the sub package on third down, right? So, which I would certainly think that he would still be, and I may be totally wrong on that. But
Weaver looks good.
Weaver to me, again, I think he's by far their most physical outside linebacker. I mean, there's no doubt he is. He sets the edge like no one else does. He is super physical. I don't as a pure pass rusher. It's not. I don't know that he's. I don't know. I don't know that he's exactly. He's not like a 10 sack guy in this league, but he's just an all around solid player.
Look, I thought Danny looked good the other night too.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel really good about their outside linebacker group. I really do. Like I think
it's a very good group.
I think Dupree's going to be fine. I feel good about Landry, but the other two that we've seen in the preseason games themselves, like as long as they can stay healthy, like I think Rashad Weaver has a chance to help them. I don't know if he's going to get like 8 sacks or anything like that, but I think he's got a chance to really help him and give him some valuable snaps this year.
Yeah, and he could even be a guy. It's going to be interesting when you actually see what their sub package is, on game day. Like I could see him being one of those guys, that you line up inside in a situation. Like there's a little bit of Autry with him in terms of you can move him all over the place and he can be problematic and do different things. So it's a good problem to have. But yeah, Dupree out there as much as he was, I was a little interested in that. And of course, the corners got a ton of work, especially Fulton in just a couple series, but Farley and McCreary got a lot of work the other night.
They did, and I thought, and we'll get to this, a little bit later, but I thought Vrabel's kind of back and forth with TD yesterday on Farley and McCreary was was pretty interesting, in which he also told TD that's why he writes and why Vrabel coaches in the middle of that press conference.
Now clap
stuff. Now get in there and clap.
Now you better clap for me.
Put your phones down.
Awesome.
It was kind of amazing. Like the press conference after the game with Vrabel, he wanted absolutely zero part of. And he's like, hey, we're not going through everybody on the roster here. And just like walks out.
So fantastic.
And then the next, like yesterday, I thought he was really good at the press conference. It was pretty good back-to-back days for Vrabel. Classic Vrabel.
What were you were in the presser, Michelle?
The post-game?
Post-game. Yeah. That was so great. So Vrabel is like, all right, not going through the roster. And then he's like, just basically, not quite storms out, but he gets out. And then Buck's like, thank you, coach, or whatever. And Carr's like, what are you doing? He yells at us and you say thank you. Oh, so awesome. Then we started making thank you, sir. Might I have another jokes? It's a great
that's okay. Now I understand.
Now you get the jokes?
Just beautiful.
Yeah, it's got to pile on Buck whenever you can.
Oh, man. But pretty interesting couple of days there for Vrabel. He was in a great mood yesterday. Was not very interested in talking about every player on the roster after the preseason game.
Yeah.
He made it very apparent that he needed to go watch some film.
I was like, what else are we going to talk about? Should we ask you about the Bucks? How about, bro, let's ask you more about Brady.
Mike,
what's going on with Tom Brady? Masked Singer or
Mike,
what?
Are you sure that you don't know where Brady is right now?
Did you know that Brady and Gronk and Dana White almost happened? What did you know about that situation?
Yeah. We need to get to the bottom of this stuff with Vrabel. We'll continue the conversation on the Titans. Get to Treylon Burks and his performance in the game on Saturday coming up next as well. All that ahead. But first, let me tell you about my friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. You can kick off Week 1 with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. All you got to do is sign up with promo code ROB to get in on the action. Then you can turn game day into payday all season long. There's a couple different bets I'm looking at. I've been vocal about Derrick Henry. I think he's going to go over on his rushing yards this year. I'd look at that. I also think the Titans are going to take down the Giants in Week 1. But you take it any way you want to take it. Play your way and bet on more than just the final score. Wager on everything from touchdowns to total yards to catches. You can even combine your chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay as well. So don't fumble your chance to get $150 in free bets. Win or lose with promo code ROB. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Hey, Preds fans.
Running across to make the save is Sarah.
You can now hear Nashville's best sports talk.
The backhander, he scores!
And every Predators game on 106.3 FM.
Oh, that was a thing of beauty.
From downtown Nashville to Rutherford and Williamson counties.
Duchesne with the overtime winner.
Catch all the action on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics wants to thank their patients for voting them the #1 orthopedic practice in the Nashville Scene Poll for 3 years in a row. Their physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, and other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all physicians, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN. Welcome into Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Somebody company is delivered. There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming. Get the extra point, no problem. And the Nashville Predators. Scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey, Nashville, this is Sean Henry. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
But with Farley getting so many reps, what is it? Is just a matter of getting him as many opportunities as possible, trying to see as much as you can from him? Because I'm curious, because as a rookie, I would think McCreary would need a lot of reps also, but there's variance.
That's why you write and I coached.
I'm just giving you my opinion, and I'm asking yours. That's all.
When I ask for your opinion, you can give it to me, Teron.
That was back and forth between Vrabel and TD yesterday. I would like to point out Vrabel was smiling when he said that last part.
And then he said, now, everybody, let's hear the standing ovation for Coach of the Year, Mike Vrabel. I'm just kidding.
Joe, you clapped from home.
Yeah. What's that?
I said you clapped from home.
Yes. I did. I stood up on the table.
One day this week, Joe's going to wear his NWI button and the Vrabel button right next to it, just on both sides.
Where is that thing? I got to find that thing. Time for the season.
Yeah, got to look for it. 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Liam on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, you done with Woodside yet? I think we're going to get a lot of that today, Joe. I think a lot of Titans fans are out on Woodside.
Yeah, well, his play has been uninspiring in 2 preseason games, and in the practices in between those 2 games too. I'll tell you again, thought he looked pretty darn good in practice before the preseason games started. So I don't know what that all means, but yeah, look, I think the Titans we've proclaimed Woodside on the way out of here several times in the past few years. We know this. We've chronicled all that. So he knows next year there's basically zero, well, not zero, but very, very little chance he's on this team next year. So basically it's a question of, can he hold on and be QB2 with the Titans one more year? And like I said, at this point, if you said today the decision is being made, what is the decision? You have to bet your house on it. I'm going to begrudgingly and reluctantly go with Woodside keeps it, but I'm opening my mind to Malik QB2, which also, he's not ready for that at all. I think everybody should understand that. He's not ready for that. The only way that plays out, that plays out with Tannehill long-term injury and you punt on the season and let's give Malik Willis this season to develop. That's the only good that would come out of it. And open my mind to the idea of getting somebody else out like you just talked about, trying to find somebody else out there. It's slim pickings, but here and there you could probably – I don't think finding an upgrade over what Woodside has been in the last week and a half is a big chore.
Yeah, I don't think that it is either. So what have you made of Traylon Burks? Yes, the performance in the first 2 preseason games, but also the role that he's had as well. What do you kind of read into the Traylon Burks situation thus far in terms of exactly where he is right now heading into week 1 of the season?
Yeah, Traylon Burks is a really interesting discussion. To me, Traylon Burks is going to be a situational guy they try to get the ball to with a jet sweep, with a receiver screen, with what they did the other night. Just basically just sent him on a go route and Woodside underthrew him, and it was a pick. I think that's what Traylon Burks is to start the season. I think NWI, Robert Woods, those are Tannehill's guys. One of them, it's been years in the making, and he has improved himself beyond what I would have guessed, number 15. And then Woods and Tannehill, I think that's going to be good from the start. They've had a lot of good work together. That's clear wide receiver 1 and 2 to start the season. Yes, of course, you want your first-round pick at some point to be in that discussion. He is not in that discussion right now to start the season. And I think the preseason game kind of illustrates that as deep as he's playing in that game. They're trying to get him some work, trying to help him improve. Kyle Phillips is also, to me, he's going to be in there and is going to be in there in situations. And I said it last week. I'm going to stick with it. I mean, right now, it's close, but if you tell me Racey McMath gets more offensive snaps than Traylon Burks in the opener, I don't bat an eyelash. I mean, I think it's both of those guys are going to be in there situationally, but I'm telling you, heavy to me doses of number 2 and number 15 and 81 Hooper. Those are the top 3 guys Tannehill to me is going to be looking for from the start of the season.
So what do you think it is with Traylon Burks right now that they're trying to keep? I found it really interesting the last 2 games that he's been in there as long as he's been in there. He's been in there a long time. And he's a rookie, so there's that part of it too that I think we oftentimes lose sight of in this discussion just because he's first-round pick and of who he's replacing coming in here. Is it a point of concern to you with Treylon Burks, I guess is what I'm asking you here.
I don't know that I'd say that. I mean, I guess it's a point of concern if you had the expectation that he was going to come in and be a star right away as a rookie. But I don't think that's realistic. Here and there you get Justin Jefferson. You get Jamar Chase. I'm trying to think, was Michael Thomas great right away? I don't think he was.
So.
I mean, it took a little bit of time. Usually it takes a little bit of time, right? And so I wouldn't be concerned. I think where you're concerned is if he doesn't start basically demanding with his play more snaps, after a couple weeks and then in a couple more weeks. Like, that's what you want to see. I don't know that I'd call it a concern right now. I think the traits are still there. The stuff that we saw early in camp, like he has big playability, but there's just a lot to this position. That's talk about it all the time, and so I think that he's getting that work because I feel like he needs that work. I remember some people arguing he was not going to play in the preseason at all. Yeah, I mean, he has to play in the preseason. He'll probably play in the third game even. Well, maybe not. Who knows? Vrabel may go straight, like top 30 guys have a seat. I don't know. But he needs a lot of work, and I think it's just going to be Treylon Burks in spots when the season starts.
I feel like Kyle Phillips is probably the punt returner for this team after the other night. Be my guess. Although I don't know if catching the ball in the end zone is probably the way to go moving forward here. But that one return, that was the best punt return I've seen from Titan in God knows how long.
Yeah, no, it's like don't catch that one, but still he made up for it with the return, and then the second return was really good. Yeah, he's going to be fun. He's going to be fun as a punt returner. He's going to be fun in the open field. I mean, a lot of his receptions are going to be for 7 and 8 yards and 5 yards, but fun to watch off the line. That's a good find by the Titans. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Here's a question from Craig on the text line. It says, do you think part of Burks playing so long in the 2 preseason games is working on conditioning and making sure he's good to go for the opener? This is from Craig on the text line.
I hear what you're saying, but preseason game, this isn't conditioning work. You're still standing around, then you go run a route. They're not playing tempo. Conditioning work you can get in 20 minutes of like a strength coach actually working on conditioning, way better work than this, right?
Well,
this is just experience in playing football at the NFL level and working on your craft.
Well, and the other thing I'll say with Burks, and Keith brings this up on the text line too, and I think it's a good point. Says Burks hadn't had anyone throwing the ball. He's
totally
wide open in the Baltimore game, streaking down the field, and then Woodside underthrew him on that pass. We could be having a pretty different conversation about Treylon Burks if those 2 passes are completed at this point.
Except, to me, it wouldn't be any different, but you're right. So if you're like concerned because of his lack of production, look at these games.
Yeah.
Vrabel talked about this yesterday about how there's times he's getting open. Like you said, he could have gotten that Woodside pass still in the opener of the preseason. He could have gotten it. Certainly, there was some argument in the press box the other night that he should have done more on the pick from Woodside. I was like, the defender went down to get it. Other than just blasting through the guy's back, I don't know what he's supposed to do. That was just way too underthrown.
Yeah.
But like you said, he's wide open in the seam on a blown coverage by the Ravens. Malik Willis looks left, and it's a touchdown. So he'd at least have those big plays. Actually, if those things had hit, there'd probably be unrealistic expectations about what he's going to be because he'd still be what I just said. He's like right now, the reps he's getting and just comparing him to the other receivers, he's behind them. It's just that simple. And it's the NFL, man. You are going to play the people who give you the best chance, who can do everything better. And the people who do it better are Woods and Westbrook-Akina right now.
On my own personal text line, Skip Stillman text again says, yes, it's conditioning. Why else would he be covering kickoffs? This is from our good friend Jared Stillman.
Okay.
Treylon Burks.
Okay. Well, okay. Fine, Jared. Fine. It's conditioning. Yeah, I don't think that if you want to do if you're worried about a player's conditioning, a football game is not where you get conditioning work. I mean, can we all agree on that, or does Jared need to?
Isn't that what practice is for?
Yeah, I mean that's what practice. I mean, you get in an hour of practice with these drills that they go through. That's such better conditioning than what you're doing in a game. As far as, honestly, that's an interesting point on him covering kicks. I'm very interested to see what they're going to do with special teams. Like, you wouldn't think the first-round pick would be doing that in a real game, right? I wouldn't think so.
I wouldn't think so.
Then again, Vrabel, I don't know, man. I mean, Vrabel's big on whoever can help us, and the kicking game is going to help us. I also think that the kicking game thing, I think it's almost like a little bit of a test for guys. Like, you're going to go out there and, like, do it, right? I mean, they're putting Farley out there, too. I guess you could call that conditioning work. But it's kind of like, okay, if you want to be part of this football team, our culture, you may not have done any of this in college, but special teams matters in the NFL. Conditioning, I don't think that's conditioning work at a high level compared to what you can get from a strength coach.
Do you have any different feel on the bottom part of the wide receiver group? I mean, I say the bottom part. There's 5 spots that are taken. If they're going 6, Reggie Roberson was okay the other day. Des Fitzpatrick, 2 targets, 2 catches. Like, I still think it's probably going to be Des if they keep 6, but do you feel any differently about that after this past week?
Yeah, I think it's probably Des. You see some good things from Godwin and Robertson, who we may never figure out if it's Robertson or Robertson before he's gone.
Hey, Vrabel called him Robby yesterday.
But see, he's not going to call him Robby.
I know.
We don't want to get him mixed up with
why would you call him Robby?
Media superstar.
That's true.
Yeah, right. Yeah, why would you call him Robby? That is interesting. I guess someone could actually ask him. Yeah.
Be like, hey, unlike Nick Westbrook-Akine, why don't you tell us what your name is?
I said Akina earlier, didn't I? Dang it. Anyway, yeah, I think 6 is probably Dez. But like it's 5 to me, it's 5 guys, and then it's whatever at this point. Decent play from those guys, but nothing special. Real quick on the text, and by the way, John, thank you, Chandler Jones with the Raiders. So they will not be able to get blocking revenge on Chandler Jones because
week 3.
I'm sure he's playing like at least a half of this last preseason game. Somebody asked about Sam Ehlinger on the Austin about the backup quarterback. I would say no. I understand that he threw like a sweet touchdown pass today. No, that's not your answer. Mason Rudolph. Is he definitely out? They're definitely going to cut him? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I mean, you got Trubisky and Pickett.
Yeah, what else do you need?
You're all set, baby.
Big Mitch is going to start, though, right?
I think so.
I can't wait.
Going to be amazing. 615-737-1025. We got more thoughts on the Titans coming up next, including a position battle that is getting more and more interesting by the day. We'll get to that next as well. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Silly Underdogs is back. To win weekly prizes like a pair of tickets to a sporting event or to a concert in Nashville. Oh, yeah. Go to theGameNashville.com or the Game Nashville app and sign up and play now. Then tune in every Thursday at noon for our expert picks. Silly Underdogs is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket.
Hey football fans, Patrick Mahomes here, and I'm here to tell you that with NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team no matter where you live. Because NFL Sunday Ticket gives you every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. So switch to DirecTV and learn how to get the 2022 NFL Sunday Ticket season included at no extra cost. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
With choice package and above, 24-month agreement required. Call for details.
This is a relationship, just like your relationship. Dating and getting married is awesome and fun, but having been married for 24 years, I can tell you it only gets better.
Meet Ward Herbert, manager at Genesis Diamonds, talking about the importance of having a long-term marriage with your spouse and your jeweler.
What's in the DNA here is relationship building. How can we be a part of your love story forever? It's your engagement ring, it's your wedding band, it's your anniversaries, it's gifts for your children, it's being a Genesis customer for life.
Genesis Diamonds, where it's never about making a sale, it's about making a hero. grow.
The greatest joy I get is helping you find your perfect ring, helping you find your perfect diamond, and having you walk out with a huge smile on your face because you know she's going to love it and it's going to be something that you can be proud of forever.
And Ward knows a thing or two about relationships. As a marriage counselor and an ordained minister, he can provide a little extra added value.
I did a wedding ceremony for one of our customers 2 months ago. He did not have a minister at the last minute, and I performed his wedding ceremony for him.
Genesis Diamonds, going above and beyond for every customer.
Now you may kiss the bride.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
This week's Nashville's Best Deal is Seafood Sensation. Often imitated but never duplicated, Seafood Sensation is Nashville's original seafood restaurant. Right now, you can get half off a $25 gift card at thegamenashville.com/deals and enjoy some of your favorite seafood dishes, like their crab legs platter, grilled salmon, and more. That's Seafood Sensation, located at 2719 Jefferson Street near the TSU campus. Get half off a $25 gift card while they last at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Bundling car and renter's insurance with Geico is so easy, your neighbors are probably already doing it. But who? Look for the signs. Chances are they live in a home and have a car. They use money and enjoy having more of it. They probably drink lots of lemonade. Lemonade. And they've probably said something suspicious like, "I'm bundling with Geico," or "Stop spying on me with those binoculars." If so, you may want to ask them how easy it was to bundle with Geico. Bundling is easy with Geico. Just ask your neighbors.
O'Reilly. Improve your vehicle's gas mileage and power with Royal Purple Fuel Injector Cleaner at O'Reilly Auto Parts. And right now, buy one 6-ounce bottle and get one free, plus earn double O Rewards points with your purchase. Save money on gas and boost performance with Royal Purple Fuel Injector Cleaner at O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Jared Stillman.
This is a team that the entire city is losing their minds over.
Caroline Fenton.
It's one of the youngest teams in the league. They don't have a single player over the age of 30.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
I know you don't like to look back at last year, but 12-5, number 1 seed, first time for this franchise since 2008, using a record 91 different players, most ever in a non-strike season. As Nashville president of the local chapter here, I present to you on behalf of the Pro Football Writers Association the NFL 21 NFL Coach of the Year.
Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome.
You guys can clap. Put your phones down and clap. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you, Teresa.
A very happy Mike Vrabel yesterday at his Sunday press conference, receiving the Coach of the Year award from Teresa Walker for the Associated Press. Lots of applause.
That was a PFWA.
PFWA, yep.
That was a Pro Football Writers. He got multiple Coach of the Year awards.
Did.
Yeah.
That was going in his office, he said.
We're going to find out.
Clap, Joe.
We're going to find out who. We're going to find out who clapped.
There's a lot of clapping going on in that one.
Came
through loud and clear.
That was quite an applause. We will find out. When I want to text Kaharski right now. Actually, I should. Just wake him up. He'll be especially pissed off. And I bet he's got a list, man.
Just beautiful stuff yesterday from Mike Vrabel. In the press conference. Taking your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Ron on the text line says, I know he's not the best choice, but he's a vet and might still have something left in the tank. Cam Newton, where is he? And why can't we go after him for a backup job? Before you say he's garbage, is he better than Woodside? It's coming from Ron on the text line.
Honestly, at this point, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Can Cam Newton throw anymore? Can he walk?
Well, also, is Cam Newton going to take the money that the Titans would probably be offering him to come in and be a backup quarterback?
Right. Then that, too, is also no. I mean, I don't know the answer to my questions, but the answer to your question, no. So, that's not the answer.
There's not a lot of great options out there.
It's just, it's thin pickings. Thin pickings? Slim pickings.
Slim pickings.
Slim pickings. There you go.
I got a text that says, even though Vrabel and his staff don't scheme open Burks or anyone for that matter, I'd love to see our staff be able to scheme open playmakers. Burke needs in-game reps, not just running routes saying he's doing what he's supposed to. and can't control when he gets the ball. Give him the ball in all that capital letters. This is coming from a texter on the text line.
Well,
they're not going to do that in the preseason.
It says gibe him the ball, but I hear what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, so
they're not going to be running like these complicated routes in.
Yeah, but you're not game planning.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not game planning for the opponent. Really, I mean, you kind of know what their base coverages are, But I mean, it's different. They're going to scheme things for Burks in the opener. Like Burks will be on the field, and there will be some moments where like they try to get him the ball specifically on a particular play. That will happen. Burks on a play-by-play drive, side adjustments, reading coverages, same page with Tannehill, 3rd and 8, got to have it. That's going to be Woods and Westbrook-Akine, at least to start the season. I think Burks is definitely going to be someone they utilize, and I think Racing McMath is as well. But Racing McMath, right now, in my opinion, from what I see, and it shouldn't be a surprise, it took him a year of hard work to get there. He is more advanced than Treylon Burks in some of the things that they want to do in this offense. So I think you give it time. What you hope is that during this year, Burks gets more and more time. And I agree, like you want him to have the ball in his hands. He's big, he's fast, he's strong. He can I think after the catch this year, you're going to see some stuff from Treylon Burks that probably does make you talk about A.J. Brown. I don't know how much you're going to talk about A.J. Brown, but like that's where I think there's a little bit of a comparison. And look, I think downfield, I think he can do some stuff, but it's going to be in spots early. At this point, I feel pretty confident in saying that.
There is an interesting position battle ongoing on the Titans roster right now, which we talked about a little bit last week, which I guess got made more interesting on Saturday. It was an interesting day for Stonehouse from the standpoint of, had a couple of good kicks, but the play of the game, bobbling the ball, picking that sucker up, and getting a first down out of it. You tweeted about it, one of your few tweets from the other night in that game against the Buccaneers, saying that the job was now his with the picking up the bobbled snap and running it for a first down. Some people actually thought you were serious about that, which was amazing, which is why Twitter is great. But did Saturday's game influence the way you view the Stonehouse/Kern competition at all? Which, by the way, Vrabel has said Kern kicking the ball better than he did last year.
Yeah, it did. The way he punted, the fact that he was holding, just that fact in that game, as he's been doing in practice, tells me they are really trying to see if the operation can be fine with him as the holder. And then I asked Vrabel after the game, and it's not like Vrabel was going to say, well, I have no comment on whether that's a competition or not. But he did talk about how much of a competition it is. So, yeah, it's really interesting. And I go back and forth on that one right now because I still kind of feel like it's almost like Woodside. Like when it comes down to it, they're going to go with probably the safe choice. But I don't know. If they think Stonehouse is special, then you have to make that choice right now. And you move on from Kern a year earlier. It's a really interesting situation. I mean, I know some people don't like talking about punting all that much, but I'm fascinated by this situation.
You don't like talking about it until it's not good.
Right.
And
it would be, I think it'd be fine with Kern this year.
With Kern.
He's still very good.
He spun the ball better than he did a year ago. I mean, that's a good thing if you're the Titans. So,
right. I mean, it's just like if you saw that first punt by Stonehouse.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It was pretty good. And Joe Rexrode caught up with Ryan Stonehouse after the game on Saturday against Tampa Bay. Here was that conversation with Rexrode and Stonehouse.
With the backflip story. The story you told before?
Which one?
You did?
Coming out of high school?
Yeah, like trying to get Texas State.
Sorry, this
is that what it was?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's Aaron Brewer, so I may have sent you the wrong audio, but that's a totally, yeah. Did I not send you Stonehouse?
Nope, that's...
Okay. That's my bad.
Nailed it.
Great. Anyway, I will send you that, and we can play that later in the show. Darn it. Where the heck is that? Anyway, yeah. I did have a good conversation with Stonehouse. I went up to him, and he was on his phone, and I was like, looking at Twitter. He's like, yeah. Because of course.
He really was?
Oh, yeah. Okay, you have a night like that, and you are going to be checking out what people are saying about you on Twitter. Yeah, we had a good conversation. None of you can hear it right now. I apologize.
We'll look forward to that coming up a little bit later in the show. There is one thing, Joe, that we've not gotten to yet that I'm really interested in getting your thoughts on, and I'm going to come out with a Monday morning hot take for you. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Week 1 against the Giants, Nicholas Petit-Frere will be starting at right tackle for the Titans. That was my takeaway the other night. Dylan Radunz not good. It's just not good. And it's not going to be good enough to win at right tackle with Dylan Radunz, in my opinion, there. And I think Nicholas Petit-Frere is going to be the opening day starter at right tackle.
That would be my guess too. I've been going with Petit-Frere at some point in the season. And, of course, Petit-Frere probably got more work at left tackle the other night than right tackle.
He did.
But, and look, I don't think Petit-Frere looks incredible or anything. But, yeah, I'd have to agree. Now, look, PFF grades, John Glennon loves them. Or at least he just shares them. And this is about what I would – because I think Radunz in the run game is good. I mean, like, pretty good. Like, you can see it with him in the run game. So the PFF grades for them, okay? Run blocking, Petit-Frere 52.9, Radunz 55.8. Pass blocking, Petit-Frere 74.3, Radunz 17.8.
It's not good.
Again, it's PFF, and that's not a grain of salt. That's a block of salt, okay? They're stupid grades. But I think that's the naked eye kind of matches up with that. There were just way too many moments where Radunz looked to be lunging and just not balanced and not effective and problematic. And then you consider really good pass rushers in the NFL. A huge thing this year is, I know we got to go to break. If Taylor Lewan is Taylor Lewan, then you know that like you can just plan on helping the right tackle. You know, and I think you can be okay.
Yeah.
But gosh, what if you could, have both of your tackles at times handle their assignments and have more people flooding the secondary? I don't know. I mean, like if you at least have Lewan at peak Lewan, then that's a huge deal. But I think Petit-Frere absolutely is going to pass him, whether it's this week, next week, week 3 of the season at some point. I think it's pretty clear.
615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. More of your thoughts on the Titans coming up next. And also, what will it take for the Titans to compete with the AFC's elite teams? Can they compete with the AFC's elite team with this group? We'll get to this coming up next as well. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
You watch The Game.
Line to left, coming on Newstrom. Base hit, sounds win.
We talk The Game.
But they knew he'd be really good. Well, if they don't make that move, they don't win those championships.
We are The Game. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Some people were made to follow the instructions. We were made to make our own. To always measure twice and never cut corners. Unless, of course, we've got a compound miter saw. Northern Tool and Equipment is a problem solver's paradise. There's nothing we can't find, fix, or figure out together. We're made for this. Start solving your projects today at northerntool.com.
Hey, it's Jared for TriStar Moving. If you're looking to move, you need to give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything will be taken care of, from covering your floors, banisters, railings, front door thresholds, furniture, TVs, and more. They took great care of my move and made it as stress-free as possible. If you're looking to move, give TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit them at nashvillemoving.org/radio and get 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Other banks go out of their way to make redeeming credit card rewards needlessly complicated. Like how they require minimums or force you to use your rewards before reaching some arbitrary expiration date. But Discover isn't like that. With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount, at any time. So you'll never have to jump through hoops. Unless you're like a trapezist, then by all means, go right ahead. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne,
Robby and Rexrode, Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stony Company, Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball. We got pass rushes.
Awesome Game 7.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive, this is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode. Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. We're talking Titans, taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. And we're opening up the phone lines, taking your thoughts on the Titans and their performance against the Bucs on Saturday night. Backup quarterback, right tackle, anything you want on the table at 615-737-1025. Speaking of the text line, Dave in Big Rock asking about right tackle. We talked about Petit Frere. Do you think that there's a chance that maybe they take a look outside the organization here in the next couple of weeks? We've talked about that before. I think you're hoping that one of those two comes along and you feel good about them being the starter in week 1. Maybe not great, but you feel okay about it. Like, are they at the spot, either one of them, where you feel okay about it right now being the starter at right tackle in week 1 against the Giants?
It's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if you feel okay. Okay is probably the ceiling right now of how you feel. So, okay, can you get by? Yeah, I mean, I think you may feel better than okay about what Petit Frere could become. I think at this point with Radens, I really wonder if he is destined to go back inside. And I don't know how effective he'd be there either, but that might just be better for him. So I think it's a fair question. Again, we've gone through like the situation right now out there with veterans. To me, there's no one all that appealing. There's a whole bunch of people about to be cut. So this is where you make your money in a personnel department. You're watching just film of all these god-awful preseason games, and you are trying to, and I guarantee you they have names in that building of tackles who may be out there for them. So I wouldn't rule it out, but if you think about doing that and someone who gets put on waivers and then bringing that person in and, like, I mean, that's not going to be your starting right tackle on opening day, right? Might help your depth. Maybe you feel a little bit better about where your depth is, or maybe that person could potentially at some point get in there, but yeah, it's going to be one of those two guys on opening day.
I would think so. I think at this point I'd probably rather go with Petit Frere. I would. I think physically he gives you more in the pass blocking part of it for sure. And you're going to have to keep Tannehill upright. I agree. Like, Lawan, first off, I thought it was interesting that he played very briefly the other night in that game. Like,
he did. He left and he came back.
Yeah, came back in there.
Yeah.
A
little bit of work.
Was there any I wasn't in the stadium the other night. Was there any, like, announcement of his return?
Everybody remember all the sacks he gave up last year? Day of the war.
Forever the greatest moment in the history of that stadium. But I feel good about him heading into this year. I don't know that he's going to be like, Pro Bowler Taylor Lewan again. He could be, but I feel good about him holding his own over there and being able to give you quality left tackle play that they just didn't get for the most part last season. He got better as the season went on. I feel good about him heading into this year. I'm really concerned about right tackle because if it's Petit Frere, I probably feel better about him than Radens at this point. I still don't know that he's ready to be a starter right off the jump in week 1 this year.
Yeah, no, it's
not a good place to be.
It's not. And so this also goes to like you got Lewan. One thing to watch this week, by the way, is Nate Davis. Nate Davis got hurt last week. Haven't seen him for a few days. Something that's very interesting to watch is whether he gets out there. Because that's the thing. If Nate Davis is good, Ben Jones is going to get himself out there. They feel good about Brewer. We'll see how that looks once the actual football starts. But they feel good about him, and he's locked it down. Then you have Lewan. If everybody else, if you feel good about your other 4 across the board, then it's a little bit less of a concern, but it's still, here's the question is, whoever it is, how will they compare? I mean, I asked TD this question. It's not easy. It's hard to know exactly, but how would one of these two guys right now compare to what Quessenberry gave them, last year? I thought Quessenberry, for the most part, was fine. There were times where you're like, oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
That's not great, They helped him a fair amount. The problem last year is, again, especially early, that Lewan's just not ready, and then he doesn't play against Seattle, and you've just got all kinds of – that's the thing. Think about what a mess that offensive line was in week 2. Lewan warm-ups, he's worried about the knee. He decides to sit. They still, in that game, got a lot of work done offensively.
Yeah, they did.
But so I like, you can – if you have one weak spot, you can hide that. The problem is that you have more than one up there that's like a real problem. That's when you really start having issues. So, I think they could be okay. I think the big hope right now, we've seen Radens try to, work, and he is absolutely better. I believe that than he was a year ago, but he just doesn't look good enough to me to be a starting right tackle in the NFL. So your hope is that Petit Frere, who I think does have tremendous upside, just gets better and better as the season goes on. Might be a little rocky early, and we've already got him like inked into the starting lineup. But I mean, it's hard to think otherwise after Saturday.
So we're now in the home stretch of the preseason portion of the season. You got Arizona coming in this week for practice, the game, and then all of a sudden you're looking ahead to the Giants game in week 1. With the roster cut down. By the way, there will be another roster cut down tomorrow in the NFL.
5 more
guys. And then the big cut down to 53 the week after that. So we're getting close to the final roster cut down for the Titans coming up. And then week 1 against the Giants will be here before you know it. And my question to you is, Joe, based on what we think we know about this team and what we've seen thus far during camp, do you think the Titans can compete with the AFC's elite? So take that however you want to take it. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind to me is Buffalo, but there's the AFC West. And if so, what has to go right? What is the formula for the Titans being a team that can compete with the AFC's elite this year and give themselves a chance come playoff time and to get to the playoffs?
Well, first of all, my quick answer is compete with, yes. On a given day, yes. Can they be a playoff team? Can they win the AFC South and get into a playoff game and have a chance? Yeah, I believe so. And I don't think it's I don't think it's a big secret of how that happens. I mean, look, they've got to run the football at a high level. Derrick Henry has to be a star. Derrick Henry has to be a great player this year, one of the best players in the NFL, and he could be. And so you start there, and you look at that defense, and I like a lot of what I'm seeing. I think that the defense through this point in camp, I think you should feel better about it as a Titans fan than you did going into camp because, Caleb Farley is not going to be perfect. And And he's going to have his ups and downs this year. But I think we've seen enough to think that he is going to also make some plays, and he's going to – right now, it looks like the health is there for him. I think he's going to solidify a spot. He had some ups and downs the other night. He gave up a couple plays. He should have given up a long completion that was a little bit – I think it was Gabbert. That might have been Trask. But either way, he got caught looking, and he got beat, and they didn't complete it. He also had some really good plays. He came up, in a zone look. So some people might have seen a play and thought he gave up a completion. He didn't. He came off his area and laid a big hit after a short completion in the middle of the field. Meanwhile, Roger McCreary, he did nothing the other night, which tells me that they didn't throw at him at all.
Yeah.
So I like both those guys. I think this defense is and that again, that's the only, to me, question other than health with this defense. I mean, Danico Autry, there's another guy to look for this week, by the way. Where's Danico Autry?
Yeah.
So there's some guys that you're wondering how they're doing. They can be ready for the season, but there's still plenty of time. Titans play great defense, and Derrick Henry's a star. And then if you really want to try to compete with them, okay, now what's Ryan Tannehill and his passing game? Because at some point that's going to have to be the answer. You're going to have to turn to them. But if the other two things are as good as they look right now, then the Titans are – to me, they're a playoff team, and they're a pretty underrated team around the NFL, which, of course, is no big change.
By the way, the Derrick Henry rushing yard total, the over-under on FanDuel Sportsbook, 1350.5.
Oh, that's a number.
1350.5 is the over-under for Derrick Henry.
That's the thing.
If he's healthy, I feel like he'll just annihilate that number.
Yeah.
I think.
I would probably say even if he's healthy all year, I just feel like they're going to try. They'll never tell us about it, but I think they're going to try to maybe take it easy on him a little bit when they can. So 1,400 yards to me would be a really good season.
Well, let's get this straight. 1,400 yards is a really good season. It's just with his standards, you'd be like, really? 1,400, huh? Oh.
That's the thing. Okay. The last time that he was a full-time player in the NFL, he went for 2,000, and he was on pace to go for 2,000 again. So, the bar's high. Yeah, if he's over on that, though, then to me that's your answer of can they compete with these teams? Yeah, they can compete with them. It'll eventually we'll wind our way all the way back to the big story of camp, the completely transformed Ryan Tannehill, and whether he can be that guy in those moments.
We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Monday morning. So we throw that question out there to you. Do you believe the Titans have what it takes to compete with the AFC's elite this year? 615-737-1025. We'll continue that discussion next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5"
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Do you suffer from lower back pain, knee pain, foot pain, or fallen arches? Do you? If yes, just stop and write this magic word, G-Defy, G-D-E-F-Y. What is G-Defy? G-Defy is the footwear designed by Gravity Defier Medical Technology with the worldwide patented VersoShock sole. Their shoes are clinically shown to relieve pain by a double-blind clinical study conducted by Olive View UCLA Medical Center. You can try a pair for 30 days with free corrective fit orthotic inserts. If you're not satisfied, just return the shoes for a full refund and keep the free orthotics as a gift. Put an end to suffering. Save $20 and get free shipping from Gravity Defier when you go to gdefy.com/radio and use code RADIO. That's GDEFY.com/radio, code radio. You have nothing to lose but your pain.
Man, this is a nice truck.
Yeah, check this out.
What?
I changed it to remind me of my time at sea.
Weren't you in the Air Force?
Yeah, but I really love the ocean.
You could save and get $200 with Navy Federal Credit Union when you refinance your auto loans from another lender, leaving you with extra to spend on other things. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Credit and collateral subject to approval. Refinance loans must be at least $5,000 to be eligible for the $200. Terms and conditions apply. Learn more at NavyFederal.org.
It's on. It's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way. I'm watching a game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. Talking Titans, our coverage of Titans training camp presented by Parman Energy, your one-stop petroleum solution. Taking your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Throwing the question out there, what will it take for the Titans to compete with the AFC's elite this year? Do they have what it takes? 615-737-1025. Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line and welcome in Adam from Portland. Adam, thanks for calling in. What's going on?
Hey, Robby, I don't think they're too far away at all, dude. Honestly, their defense makes them competitive in every game they play. I feel like I don't think there's a whole lot of teams that wouldn't take our defense right now, and so you just wonder what Derrick Henry's going to look like. I mean, he looks like RoboCop at practice. He looks like RoboCop in every clip that I've seen. And so I would take that guy any day of the week. But and Tannehill, you guys have said it 100 times. He looks more confident. What does practice actually really mean? Like, is it going to translate? So I don't know. I don't see across the AFC anybody that's really that scary to me. Maybe Buffalo, but like you shut down Stephon Diggs, they're playing around Diggs, and I mean, what's the problem at that point? So I don't know, dude. I'm not too worried about it. I feel pretty good. I think that week 2 game is going to be really big for us. If we were to somehow sneak past them in that game, then it would be huge for the rest of the season, probably.
Hey, thanks for the call, Adam. Appreciate it, Joe. I agree with a lot of what Adam said there about the Titans defense. Really, I think a lot of this with their defense is interesting to me from the standpoint of, number one, how good can they be, and number two, in today's NFL, with the rules being what they are to help the offenses, quite frankly, with the quarterbacks not only that are in the league and how skilled they are, but the quarterbacks that are on the Titans schedule this year, you know, what would having a good defense, like how big of a weapon is that in today's NFL? Because, I mean, it used to be, you know, if you had a team like the Ravens back in 2000 and you had that defense, you're going to give yourself a chance to win. By the way, Titans defense in 2000 is pretty good too. People forget that.
Yeah.
It's pretty darn good. But, the rules, the game is just different now. And it's a lot more about the quarterbacks than the offense. So how good does your defense have to be for that to be a formula where you can win in the playoffs against some of these elite quarterbacks? And the other part of that is, like, what's the baseline of how good your offense has to be to help you with that defense? Because no matter how good your defense is this year, you know, being realistic about it, there are still going to be games with the schedule the Titans have where they're going to have to score into the high 20s and 30s to win. Like, it's just going to – that's what the game is today. So I think the Titans are poised to have a very good year defensively, but a very good year defensively I think it looks different now than it used to, just based on the way the game is played.
It does, you know, but even in recent history, first of all, like, there's nobody who doesn't get some key stops, right, along the way.
No question.
Of getting there. And there's a lot of the dominant offenses it's been more important than dominant defenses, but dominant defenses have gotten it done too. One thing, and there was a study last year on opponent completion percentage with Super Bowl champions in the past decade. The only team that didn't have the top 15 number was the Bucs of 20. But Chiefs were 5th, Patriots were 2nd, Broncos were 4th, Patriots were 4th, Seahawks were 6th, Pats in 16 were 12th, so there's it still matters. I'm trying to think that the last of recent teams that have gotten there where you would credit the defense more than the offense without knowing every single number of how they rate. Like I think of the Niners, that of course really should have beaten the Chiefs, and Jimmy G makes one pass and they do. That was right. I mean, that was to me very much a defensive team getting to the Super Bowl. You think about that awful Patriots-Rams Super Bowl. That was, the Patriots weren't great offensively that year. They had Tom Brady, and they have Tom Brady. It is more offense. Obviously, you go back to like the Denver team with Peyton Manning barely able to throw a football, and they beat Cam Newton. The Seahawks teams were tremendous defensively back then. Yeah, Russell Wilson was great, but that was Legion of Boom. It matters. Of course it matters. Typically, you go through all the winners. Last year the Rams. The Rams were, I'd say what? They were a better offensive team than defensive team, but man, that defense was a big part of what they did too, right?
For sure.
So, I think balance is huge. Most of these teams have some level of balance. Even the Bucs with Brady, like that number wasn't great, but that defense still was loaded, especially
it
up
grew
front.
into something different as the year went on.
Yes. So, to me, if the Titans have a top 5-ish defense, which I think is actually possible, I think that's on the table, and all around, and it's going to take health and some luck and all that stuff, what does the offense have to be then to actually be like a Super Bowl contender?
Well,
probably better than it looks right now.
Probably better than it looks right now. The one thing I'll say about the defense that I think is really good and that I think could serve them well early on is with as much continuity as they've gotten there and, the starters that you feel good about, I think they've got a chance out of the gate to be effective from the jump. Like, I don't know. I would be disappointed if there's like some long building process that it takes for the Titans defense to really be effective. Now, they're going to be tested quick. Maybe not in week 1, although we'll see. Maybe Daniel Jones comes in there and lights them up. But, you're taking on the Bills in week 2 on the road on Monday Night Football. That's going to be just about as stiff of a test as you're going to see all year long. So you're going to need to be good quickly. The Raiders are coming in right after that. So you've got a lot of teams on your schedule this year that have some scary offenses. But I do, from a health standpoint, hopefully they can remain healthy. But I just think they've got a chance to they built as the season went on last year, and the final product was what we saw in that Cincinnati game. I think they've got a chance to, I don't know if pick up where they left off. Like they're probably not going to have 9 sacks in week 1 per game. But I think they got a chance to be really good from the jump this year.
Okay, hold on. 90, 163? Is that right? Tell me if my math's right. Is 9 times 17 163? No, it's 153.
153.
Gosh, darn it.
Michigan State math.
Yeah, well, carry the one. Shoot. Yeah, but I think you're right. I think you're right that they should, with the continuity, be able to come right in and play well. There's always the unknown of the opener, and hey, Saquon Barkley and Danny Dimes and all that. That should be a confidence-building game for the defense. Again, corner's been the big question. I do have the question of, just because Molden's been out and McCreary's moved around, I do have the question of, I guess, like, the corner group, what it is, and how, like, are they ready right away? That's still your question because, like, we've just never seen a full football game with Farley, Molden, Fulton, and then maybe it's McCreary. I think it's probably going to be McCreary on the field for sure from the start. We've never seen that. No, I do too. That's a really interesting situation. Farley, and I think that's kind of what TD was getting at with that question, right? Is Farley getting so much work? What does that mean? And just it's just an interesting. I think it's a great situation for them though to have those two guys and to have that kind of different look from both of them. But if that's solid, you can talk about Zach Cunningham and coverage at linebacker, but I also think that Zach Cunningham is going to be more of a two-down guy this year. David Long continues to be someone I think no one in the NFL knows about and is going to be, I think, possibly a really good player for the Titans this year. And Jeffrey Simmons might just be better.
John on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says they were able to compete last year with half their relevant players watching from the sidelines or from home with injuries, so they should be able to compete again. This is coming from John on the text line. I hear that. I would also say 1 year does not translate to the next year necessarily, and also
very true.
I mean, the conference is not just better; it is significantly better this year. It is a significantly better conference. I mean, depending on how you feel about Matt Ryan, it could be a better division. A lot of people running away with love for Matt Ryan out there. It continues.
I think it will. I mean, I think it will be a better division because I actually think the Jags might not be
total cheeks,
comical. Yeah, and we'll see. Your guy D Mills down there.
Man, I can't wait.
But those are still, to me, those aren't playoff teams, but they should be better, I think. And then I think the Colts are better. I am wavering. I am wavering on the Colts. It's tough. Of course, they had a really big injury last week too at tight end. Yeah. So the pass catching situation with the Colts is not great, and it's been that way. So I'm wobbling a little bit with me jumping on the entire NFL bandwagon thinking the Colts are going to win the division. But to your point, either way, like the rest of the conference is ridiculous.
Real quick news on the Bucs front. By the way, Stinney, who left the game the other night, going to be out for the year with a torn ACL. Brutal. So their offensive line continues to be in shambles heading into this year. And Tampa Bay fans can exhale. Tom Brady back in the building, expected to practice today.
There you
according
go.
to Jenna Lane from ESPN.
The Masked Singer.
I don't know if he was doing Masked Singer or what he was doing out there. Apparently that was the big rumor, which, by the way, started on Reddit. So there you go. That Tom Brady was all filming the Masked Singer. But Brady back in the building today and is expected to practice. Still disappointing he wasn't out there last week, but he's back in there.
Yeah, what the heck, Tom? Oh, this week's good enough for you. That really started on Reddit?
Yeah.
Man, that makes me think of, I wish it started like a Bucks message board. Message Board Geniuses is one of the great follows on Twitter.
It is. You put me
on
to
that.
An
NFL one.
We certainly need an NFL one. 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, it is finally game week in college football. I got some interesting props with some local interest that will be pretty fascinating. Coming up next, we'll get to that. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
This is Mikhail Kralin, and this is Nashville.
The rebound shoveled in by Mikhail Gronlund, and the Predators have tied it up on the power play.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network. ESPN 102.5, The Game.
Discover matches all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year. Automatically. Discover, something brighter. Learn more at discover.com/match.
Have you seen the selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches they now have at Genesis Diamonds? If not, prepare to be amazed.
If people really know the watch world, they come in and they're in shock. They're like, I cannot believe you have this selection here. They're able to see them, touch them, feel them.
Meet Genesis watch expert Charlie Rivers, who says over the past few years, Genesis buyers have scoured the world to build a collection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes, including all the hard-to-find models.
Daytonas, Pandas, Sky Dwellers, a huge selection of Submariners, Hulks, Kermits, anything that you could ever possibly want. We have every luxury pre-owned Rolex that we have here. We ensure that it's in pristine condition.
So come in today and find the timepiece of your dreams at Genesis. Or if you already own a Rolex and are looking to trade for a different model or even sell it, Genesis can help you get top dollar.
If you have a Rolex, definitely bring it in. I would love to see it and do a complimentary evaluation on it and see what we can do for you.
Genesis Diamonds, now with one of the largest selections of luxury pre-owned Rolexes in America. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
It's a fact. Guys hate going to the doctor.
But when it comes to erectile dysfunction and low testosterone issues, men from all over Middle Tennessee have been thrilled seeing Dr. Alderson and their providers at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Men all the way up to 95 years old have jump-started their sex drive and energy levels. Lots of men suffer with ED for years, but now they're able to enjoy sex again. Tom from Nashville said, "The Tennessee Men's Clinic has changed my life. I have been able to be intimate with my wife for the first time in 5 years. She thought this problem was because of her, but the pills never worked for me. I had given up until I went to the clinic and realized there were more options for erectile dysfunction. Now I'm happy and my wife is happy. A visit for only $99, and that includes all testing, including a PSA and testosterone test. Give the guys at the clinic a call at 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090. Or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra. Results vary.
Did you get the Clement Horizon clean last night? I don't want another barnacle incident. Where's Ivan?
Kiki's head of docking operations just jumped ship.
What do you mean he's sailing around the world?
She needs a new marina manager to help keep her head above water.
Yeah, the tide's perfect, but we are slammed.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN.
Welcome into Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stuff in the company is delivered. There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming. Get the extra point, no problem. And the Nashville Predators. Scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt football head coach Clark Lee. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game, in the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio. I got a pair of tickets to give away to see Spoon at the Ryman Auditorium on Sunday, September 4th. Be caller number 3, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Caller number 3 will win a pair of tickets to see Spoon at the Ryman Auditorium on Sunday, September 4th, 615-737-1025. It is officially, Joe Rexrode, game week in college football. This Saturday, college football begins, including Vanderbilt taking on Hawaii, which, by the way, did you see, and my mind is blanking on who exactly it was now, was it the AD of Hawaii?
No, I think directors. Yeah, we got to do something on this at some point. It's pretty funny. I think it's their football director of ops.
That's who it was. Yeah, but he was talking about like the game coming up in the crowd, and he was doing fine for most of this speech. That was like 1 minute and 43 seconds long about the crowd and the environment, and then says Vanderbilt has no clue what they're walking into coming up on Saturday, and the crowd's going to be 9,300 people.
No idea what you're about to be in for, Vanderbilt.
Georgia, stand aside. Yeah. Neyland, nothing.
Nah.
9,300.
Going to Bama this year.
Yeah.
Sure.
Kroger Field.
Yeah, Kroger Field.
Blue light special.
Yeah.
Not happening. Yeah, that was that was an interesting comment. I'm sure the 9,300 will get rowdy.
I'm sure they will.
It's Timmy Chang's debut, and they love Timmy Chang.
Why wouldn't you?
With that program. But yeah, that's maybe a little bit of lack of awareness of what conference Vanderbilt plays in.
So I was looking around last night on the FanDuel Sportsbook because I was interested to see what kind of like the over-under win totals were out there for Tennessee and Vandy. For Vandy, what's your guess as the over-under if you had to set one for Vandy?
Boy. The over-under on Vandy wins on FanDuel. I'm going to guess 2.5.
Nailed it. 2.5.
Is that right?
The over-under for Vanderbilt of the wins. What's your guess for Tennessee?
I would guess 7.5.
You're good.
Boom. Put me in Vegas.
That's right. Tennessee at 7.5. Vanderbilt at 2.5 on the over-under for wins. Like, I'll be honest, I'm tempted. We'll get to Tennessee later. I'm tempted to take over on Vanderbilt. I really am.
Yeah, no.
I don't know that I'd go much over 2.5. Like 3's probably right there
Yeah,
where I'm going.
3.5 I'd be iffy. I think 2.5 I'd feel pretty good. I mean, so they should be 2-0. Right?
They should be.
They should beat Hawaii Saturday. They should and beat Elon. And you're talking 2-0. And then you still have a game at Northern Illinois, which they could win. I mean, you could be locked in and all good before you even get to the SEC.
Yeah.
Could they get some in the SEC? Could they get a Missouri? Could they get a South Carolina at home? They had South Carolina beat on the road last year. An Ole Miss, maybe. It gets a little shaky once you start going with that schedule, but I'd feel pretty good about the over on that.
I'm looking at the odds. Or I guess the odds to win the SEC East. I mean, Georgia is just an overwhelming favorite. Yeah, minus 550.
Yeah.
The next team is Kentucky at plus 1,200, then Tennessee at plus 1,400. You got this big list. It goes all the way down to Missouri at plus 6,000. And from Missouri, who is in 6th, to Vanderbilt at 7th, it goes from plus 6,000 to plus 50,000.
Oh, man.
I don't know that I've ever seen a jump quite like that.
I mean, throw a buck down.
Plus 50,000 for Vanderbilt to win the SEC East, which, by the way, Vanderbilt did receive a first-place vote at SEC Media Days.
Yes, when just like the clappers who we must have named, I need to know the name of the person who voted Vanderbilt to win.
They had to did they invert their ballot? What's going on here?
Yeah, maybe that's it. It's like when you say high or like higher seed, lower seed. Like, no, 1 is not the lowest seed; it's the highest seed.
The Tennessee prop at 7.5 is interesting because look, as is typically the case this time of year, Rexrode, especially after there's been a lot of positivity around the Tennessee football program, as we get closer to the season, I'm starting to see some people get a little carried away. It maybe happens from time to time. A lot of 10-2 talk out there. A lot of 9-3 talk out there for Tennessee. Maybe they can get there. I don't know. But we've gone through the schedule. They got a lot of toss-up games. I think 7.5 is good. And I've said it. I've said it all off season. I'm going to remain consistent with it now. Like if you told me Tennessee was 8-4 at the end of the season, if I'm a Vols fan, I'm saying, all right, year 2. Yeah. That's cool with me, man. 8-4 is good.
What percentage of Vol fandom agrees with you?
That's a great question because the more I look at it, the more I think I may be in the minority.
But see, just because obviously this is the time for all that stuff to run rampant, but will people actually be upset if they're 8-4?
I think it depends on what it looks like. But, I mean, let's go through the schedule. I mean, this is the problem with Tennessee's schedule every year in recent years of college football because you got 2 that you can probably just chalk up anyway as losses. Alabama you're playing, and Georgia you're playing. And unfortunately, that's just the reality for you. If you're Tennessee, you got to play those 2 every year. So it is what it is. I mean, LSU's a toss-up game. Kentucky's a toss-up game. South Carolina, I have no clue what they're going to be with Spencer Rattler. By the way, I think a lot of people are just like chalking up Pitt as a win for Tennessee since Kenny Pickett's gone. They're number 17 in the nation. You're playing them on the road second week of the year.
Yeah.
They got a lot of toss-up games this year.
And then Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, Florida's – of all those games, that's the one I feel best about because it's home, and I know that hasn't meant much. Nothing has meant much in that series.
No, it hasn't.
But I feel good about it, pretty good about it. But, again, like that history makes you wonder, right? So, yeah, I mean, you hit it. I mean, South Carolina is on the road, and I don't know what Rattler's going to be. I like what Beamer's doing. I think Beamer's really interesting at South Carolina in the next few years. I mean, as a recruiter and everything, he's interesting. Keep an eye on them. Tennessee came out and they were just wrecking people early in games last year. In South Carolina, Missouri, 2 of them, right?
Games over by halftime.
Games we thought would be good games, and it was like, whoa, nope, never mind. But that doesn't guarantee it's going to happen again this year. No, 8-4 would mean a couple wins that, to me, are really good wins. And it would also mean you take care. I'm trying to think. There's really, I guess the shocker would be like, Missouri getting them or Vanderbilt getting them or something like that. You got Ball State and Akron and UT Martin built in, but 8-4 would be pretty good.
I think so too. Now, the real question is, are they going to be deep enough especially defensively, to hang in there with Alabama, hang in there with Georgia. You know, can you go on the road down to Baton Rouge and get a big win that way? I mean, there's a lot of questions I have on that side of the ball with them. Like, I can see 9-3. Like, there's a path to 9-3. Look, 10-2. A lot of Tennessee fans are talking about 10-2. With obviously the losses being to Alabama and Georgia.
That'd be a massively
you're talking about
excellent year.
Pretty much everything going right for you, I think, if that's the case. I still think from a roster standpoint, they are improved overall from where they were a year ago. I still think they got a decent ways to go before they're in that territory. That's just me.
Right, like you can go through each one and make the case. You can make the case for 10-2 if you just go each game. Could they win at Pittsburgh? Yep. Florida? Yep. Yes, they could go to LSU and win.
Yeah.
I mean, I expect them to beat Kentucky. I mean, that's pretty much, as someone in the text line said, death taxes Tennessee beating Kentucky.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
it happens frequently.
Professor K is squinting at me right now.
We will just have to wait and see.
We will. Wayne from Spring Hill, by the way, gets credit for that one. So, yeah, you make the case. But if you do that, and by the way, that means you're taking care of South Carolina and those other games, that is a great year. That's also, by the way, if you do 10-2, we did do like a roundtable, SEC roundtable, the Athletic last week, and there was some momentum for Tennessee at least as a New Year's Six.
Yeah.
Like, as the question was like, who's the SEC dark horse? And I was like, there's no such thing. It's Alabama and Georgia, and if that doesn't happen, like, I'll wear that New England Patriots Big Joe helmet like for a week in my life, okay? I'll shower with it on, okay? It's Alabama, Georgia. There's no dark horse, no such thing. Yeah, you can keep that. But New Year's Six, 10-2, Tennessee with those wins, and that would be a big deal for this program to get one of those games.
By the way, the lines are out for opening week here. Vanderbilt, a 6.5-point favorite on the road at Hawaii, and Tennessee favored by 32.5 against Ball State. But Vanderbilt, almost a touchdown favorite on the road at Hawaii. So it's going to be interesting.
With my betting advice this segment, just like the 2.5, I like the over. Man, if that stays under 7, like that a lot too, giving those points.
Will from Nashville on the text line says, Joe, you know I'm a Vanderbilt fan, but what makes you feel good about the Hawaii game? They had one common opponent last year. They both snuck past Colorado State. We lost to ETSU. I hope you're right, but why? It's coming from Will.
Well, first of all, yes, I know that Vanderbilt lost to ETSU. If that was the team that ever showed up again on the field, then I would not feel good about Hawaii. I mean, it was a disastrous debut, and they were 300% better by the end of the year, which still wasn't a very good team, but I don't care about that game anymore. The reason is because Hawaii's defense was absolutely atrocious last year, and there's no really reason to think it won't be this year. You're in transition. I know there's excitement about Timmy Chang and all that, but you've got to – now there is the unpredictability of that new team, and I'm not super excited about Vanderbilt's defense necessarily. I think Vanderbilt's offense, and I know I'm watching – I watched them the other day and watched the scrimmage, and it's Vanderbilt against Vanderbilt. I think they're going to run for 250 in this game. Between Mike Wright and Ray Davis. Ray Davis is going to be a stud this year for Vanderbilt. If he stays healthy, remember Ray Davis. He was going to be their guy last year. He got hurt. He missed a year. He is so far beyond the other backs. And to me, just such a physical presence. I think their offensive line is in better shape than I would have guessed. By the way, Tyler Steen, who got the portal, he is the starting left tackle for Alabama, Vanderbilt's guy last year. Yep. So that's interesting. But I think they're going to run all over Hawaii, and that should be the difference. I think they're going to give up some points, too.
Coming up next, it is time for the Rex Rant, Joe Rexrode's Rant of the Day, which you can catch every morning at 7:45 here on the program. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
185! Every team needs a quarterback. 185! That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown!
Tim. ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
How that team is built, I think there's a lot to like about them.
Every Tuesday at noon, Tim with Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Presented by Red Spirit and Wine in Bellevue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing.
The summer clearance sale at Social Furniture, where all furniture is reduced in every department. Designer sofas from $5.99 and leather sofas from $7.99. Queen bedroom sets with queen bed, dresser, and mirror from $11.99. They come in solid, cherry, oak, and gray. Casual 5-piece dining room sets starting at $3.99, and formal dining sets starting at $5.99. Sealy, Stearns & Foster's, Simmons, Serta, and Purple Mattress, all sizes on sale.
Social Furniture on the west side is independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box stores. Shop local, shop social. They have all the best brand mattresses, sofas, recliners, love seats, sectionals, coffee tables, and more with no waiting. They will deliver it the same day. That's with everything at Social Furniture. Enjoy new furniture now with no waiting. Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and tell them Jared Stillman sent you.
Hey everybody, Big Joe here for Apple Collision Centers. And you know I'm always on the go, but the distraction that an automobile accident causes could even slow my pace down to a stop. But my friend and CEO of Apple Collision Centers, Stan Harrison, has a plan to get you and I back on the road and fast.
We at Apple Collision Centers know you deserve the best quality service. We always recommend original equipment parts, and we use only the best Sherwin-Williams finishes. 3 convenient locations: Hendersonville, Gallatin, and Oak Hickory. And you can always visit us online for your estimate needs at applecollisioncenters.com.
The stage is set. The rumors are true. The wait is over. My Chemical Romance. Live. The 2022 tour. This Tuesday night, Bridgestone Arena. My Chemical Romance with special guests Turnstile and Dilly Dally. Tickets are on sale now. Buy tickets at livenation.com. My Chemical Romance in concert.
In today's economy, employers and employees should be working together to create safe, good-paying jobs with no unnecessary government overreach. Right to work does not belong in the state constitution. Tennesseans, this voting season, vote no on Amendment 1. Visit TennesseeWorkersAlliance.org, paid for by the Nashville Building Trades.
Harman Energy is now hiring drivers for their Nashville team. Harman Energy is Tennessee's petroleum solution for major industries. Right now, they're offering competitive compensation. Fuel tank wagon drivers start at $26 an hour. Fuel transport drivers, $29 an hour. Plus, there's a $4,000 sign-on bonus for CDL drivers. Top quality benefits and a great place to work, Harman Energy employees provide totally outrageous customer service. Come be an employee owner with the Harman team. Apply now at harmanenergy.com.
Looking for a career with purpose or have that passion for youth development? Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provides a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. And that starts with you, offering competitive pay and free after-school care for employees. Learn more at bgcmt.org.
Jared Stillman.
If you get 3 games where he doesn't turn the ball over, you're going to the Super Bowl.
Caroline Fenton.
I don't know if he would be open to joining another team.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app. The time is now for the Rex Rant.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
On Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going
And it is that time of the day, time for the Rex Rant here on Robby and Rexrode. Joe Rexrode's Rant of the Day. You can check it out every morning at 7:45 here on the program.
South Detroit, no such thing, but thank you. Thank you, fake Blink-182 covering a Journey song. I always ask you this.
Detroit doesn't have a south part of the city?
Well, but
there's no direction of south in Detroit?
Well, there's no South Detroit. There's no South Detroit. There's downriver. It's okay. It's okay, Steve Perry.
All right.
It's cool, man. I'm sure the 70s were wild for you, dude. What's the band?
I don't know who the cover band was.
Oh, I don't know why you're looking at me. I have no idea.
You just played it.
Yeah, well, it just says Blink-182. This is a Porth. Made this
that
one.
is Blink-182?
It's not Blink-182.
But it's not them, yeah.
No.
It's fake Blink-182,
Correct.
which is even worse than real Blink-182, which sucks. So anyway, now I'm in a lather. So I feel like you don't want to lean in too heavily on one topic. So I feel bad about that. But I'm just going to tell you guys straight up, I'm not going to have a good week on the personal front. So it's on my mind. Parenting and various – I mean, I've had a lot of rants that revolve around parenting. I'm not going to rant about the story I just told you guys during the break.
Please don't.
We'll save that.
Darn.
We'll save that for conversations that we have amongst ourselves.
Correct.
Because some parenting stories shouldn't be told on the air. But I want to – this is a tough week. We are moving our kid into Michigan State this week, Jack. So I'm going to be a blubbering just disaster by the end of the week. But I want to read this. I am ranting by reading something that was on Facebook.
Okay. Oh, boy.
I mean,
Oh, gosh.
that
Here we
alone.
go.
I don't go to Facebook, except sometimes Katie's like, will you look at the post I had, like about the kids or something. I look at it, it's like, oh, that's a nice post. And I'll like it, and then I'll get the hell away from Facebook.
Just get off.
But this is pretty good. And I want to read this because this is for all of the parents who are in our spot, but it's actually for the kids, okay? And most of them probably aren't awake right now, but that's okay. Attention freshmen who are moving in tomorrow. I'm just reading this, so I don't even know what school this is. A little request. When your mom wants to unpack all of your clothes and make your bed, let her. When your dad wants to introduce himself to all the people on your floor, let him. When they want to take pictures of every move you make this weekend, let them. If they embarrass you or act crazy, let them. It's not in all caps. I'm just yelling that part. As you start the new chapter of your life, they're also starting the new chapter of theirs. And believe it or not, this is probably more difficult for them than it is for you. So let them treat you like their baby one last time. End quote. I thought that was a very good.
Very nice.
I thought that was very
that.
nice. And I'm not confident Jack will heed any of that advice. But just as I did everything I would have dreamed of doing at the Chili Pepper Strokes concert in terms of goofy dancing and singing while he stood there in horror, I absolutely promise this weekend I am going to be that guy. I'm going to, hey, Joe Rexrode here is my son Jack. And just, it's going to be all over the place in everybody's face, and he's just going to have to deal with it.
Joe's going to be like, remember when I walked down these halls?
Well, that's the other thing.
Yes.
I feel like it would be a similar scenario were he going anywhere, but the fact that he's going to where you went to college, I think adds something to it.
I think it does too. Yeah, not the same dorm, but yeah, the dorms are basically they're all very similar. And again, there's a lot of stories that probably won't be told. But then again, we just finished our burger challenge last night, so rankings will be coming out very soon on Twitter. Don't you worry. We've got very detailed. I see your nachos thing is going well, by the way. You guys are hitting up. Okay. In that process, I've told Jack some stories from college that I don't know that I ever would have guessed I would have told him. But it's that time. It's that time to sort of share some things about what it's like. Because, you're about to be – look, I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready for a lot of stuff I saw. Whew. So I'm trying try to prepare your child. But, the point being, children, I don't think it's going to be tough for Jack at all. And I think for a lot of kids, it's like, boom, freedom, let's go. And that's awesome. But have a little bit of sympathy for us, okay? This is difficult.
It's a difficult age to do that, though. I remember when I went to college, I didn't go that far away. I went to MTSU, and I lived in Hendersonville. So if I needed to go home, it was
you could
50
but
minutes
there's a
away.
little separation. Yeah.
There's a little separation, yeah. But, the day you're moving in, your mind is so elsewhere. You're not really concerned about all that stuff.
Yeah, it's so nerve-wracking.
Yeah, you're just like, oh.
You're also awkward.
I had a roommate that I'd never met before in my entire life, so that was cool, too. Like, oh, is this guy going to be crazy? So, yeah, it ended up being pretty cool. But it's just when you're that age, you don't stop and appreciate those type of things. Doesn't happen very often.
And look, I don't expect Jack or any kid in that situation to be all mindful of parents. I told it, you're right. I mean, if you've been in that situation, it's super nerve-wracking and you're nervous and all these new people and everything. Just saying, don't get mad when we act like total dorks, okay?
Listen, I
have a little bit of sympathy.
I tried to tell all your kids when I house sat that you were a really cool dad. Like really cool. I was like, you guys don't understand. Like, Rex is super cool. Like, I swear. And I'm young. I have never felt like so old in my life when they all were just staring at me. I was like, guys, no, Rex is cool. And they're like, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for. So Caroline didn't even think so?
Well, Caroline and I are buds. We chatted. She was like, yeah, Michelle, okay.
Sure. Yeah.
But I got
my
little
dad's
sympathy
cool.
vote.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got the stare from Brennan and Jack. They were like, okay, Michelle.
Yeah. I'm not surprised by that. Yeah. Thank you, though. I thank you. I appreciate that. You know?
Viking Matt.
I am cool.
Viking Matt on the text line says, wow, we've hit a new chapter of the show. Joe is sharing and reading a Facebook post. I love you, Joe. This comes from Viking Matt on the text line.
And that's what stuff like this can do. It can even get you reading Facebook posts. Hey, that's a good Facebook post.
Yeah.
It renews my faith in Facebook, maybe. No, probably not. But that was good. I like that. Like, just have a little, give us a little bit of leeway, okay?
Johnny on Twitter says, Joe, you can remind Jack he'll be in the same position you are 25 to 30 years from now. So going for the old perspective play from Johnny on Twitter.
Yeah, and you can say that, but again, in the moment, I get it. I mean, it's, look, when I got dropped off, it's like, bye, and that's fine. And I didn't really necessarily want anyone to talk to anyone. I wanted to, wanted to meet my 26-year-old roommate myself, which is what I had as a freshman.
He's 26?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah.
Were you 18?
Yes.
8 years older than you. That's wild.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you just never know. You never know.
Rob from Clarksville on the text line said, from Lafayette, Tennessee to Austin Peay felt like an 8-hour drive for some of my friends and family. I bet it did. By the way, there's another test of I can see whether or not somebody's from here.
Yep.
Lafayette.
Yep.
There's a whole lot of Lafayette that goes on out there. It's Lafayette.
Yeah. Lafayette, Lebanon, and Sevierville is the one that I Sevierville.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of different ones.
The first time, what'd you call it the first time? Seaverville?
Yeah, something like
Seaverville.
That. Tom Seaverland. Yeah. Lafayette, though, yeah.
This is a big week in the house of Rexrode, and this is going to be an interesting journey for you all week to see how you handle these segments here at 7:45.
Well, yeah. See, that's why once we get to the end of the week, I need to not talk about this. So get it out of the way now.
That's right. 615-737-1025. The Rex Rant, you can check it out every morning at 7:45 here on Robby and Rexrode. Coming up next, we'll get back into the Titans. Corey Curtis from News 2 will join us, get his thoughts on preseason game number 2 for the Titans against Tampa Bay. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Heads up. 106.3 FM is a new way to hear 102.5 The Game from downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and on I-24 to Murfreesboro.
Make sure you have that preset on your radio dial.
We're making it even easier to listen to Nashville's best sports talk.
As we have a great show planned for you today.
Tune in to 106.3.
That's what makes this team better.
And hear the difference.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
An effective defense often hinges on sophisticated strategies relating to income tax projections, business valuations, spousal support claims. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer's skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Contact the domestic litigation firm of Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Nashville area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 615-457-8700. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Offices in Nashville, Franklin, Murfreesboro, and Gallatin. Cordell & Cordell, 810 Crescent Center Drive, Suite 160, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067.
Hey, football fans. Dak Prescott here, and I'm here to tell you that with NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team no matter where you live. Because NFL Sunday Ticket gives you every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. So switch to DirecTV and learn how to get the 2022 NFL Sunday Ticket season included at no extra cost. Call 1-800-DIRECTV.
With choice package and above, 24-month agreement required. Call for details.
I had low back pain that was due to herniated discs.
Meet Dr. Justin Garzone, another satisfied patient who found regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics.
Over a very short period of time, the pain went away completely, and I have had absolutely no symptoms or pain since my treatment.
Before Dr. Garzone found QC Kinetics, he was looking at all the old school pain treatments.
It was recommended that I have steroid injections done, but then unfortunately my insurance company said that I would have to do 3 months of physical therapy first, and I needed to get better quickly.
With QC Kinetics, the doctor got lasting relief with no downtime.
I didn't have to take any medications during my treatment. I avoided surgery, and I am now pain-free.
Don't live with chronic pain, and don't go under the knife. Call QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, for a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Chase Elliott scores the win in the Ally 400 at the Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushes.
Awesome game.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun.
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Hour number 3, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning, talking Titans. And to help us do that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend Corey Curtis from News 2. Corey, what's going on? How we doing?
Oh, I am spectacular. How are you guys today?
We are spectacular as well. Appreciate you making time for us this morning. So, Corey, what were some of your takeaways, maybe your top couple of takeaways from the Titans' big preseason win, 13-3 against Tampa Bay on Saturday night? Big W.
Well, I mean, I don't think that they're going to be, this isn't a hot take by any means, but, you continue to like what you see on defense, especially from the young defensive backs. Now, you have to temper that with playing Blaine Gabbert and Kyle Trask and a bunch of no-name receivers, but you play who you play, and you like the way they played. So I thought that was good. And then, offensively, it was much of the same, where Malik was Malik. You're still looking for him to pull the trigger. Maybe he did a time or two more, and you take that as progress, but there are still more times you need to let that thing fly. And, you continue to wonder about, Logan Woodside, and will he be their backup quarterback? But I think that my biggest takeaway from the offense is, guys, do we just have to say Dylan Radins can't do it? I mean, is it that point to say he's had a year and an off season, and you can't go into the season with him as your starting right tackle? I mean, the coaches obviously know more than we do. They practice on a daily basis. They see every bit of it. They work with every bit of it. But everything we see in the games says it's struggle. And, you can't get 17 hurt because you're hoping that it clicks at some point.
No, I agree. I think that's probably as significant a takeaway from that game that actually applies to this team is how he struggled. And I think Petit Frere just – you could make the case, like you said, Corey, it's like, okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty of assignment and technique and how Keith Carter and those coaches are evaluating things. But, I mean, just from the naked eye, it looks to me like Petit Frere already has a case that he's better than him now. And I think certainly, to me, it looks like someone who could be pretty good prospect. So I guess it's good they have him.
he's a 5-star prospect coming out of high school. I mean, he's a big-time athlete. He's incredibly smart. You know, a little too smart sometimes for his own good, is my understanding. They need fewer questions and more caveman out of him. But you know, he's had an off season, and right now you feel like, you know, if they're even at this point, all right, if they're just even, Petit Frere's ahead in my book.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't had a full year. So if they're even, he's ahead. And, you know, again, you've got to go with a guy who not just gives you the best chance to win, but gives your quarterback the best chance to play 17 games. And so, you know, I think we have to look for the waiver wire or a late-round pick trade by J-Rob to see if they do want to bring in a veteran, you know, out there on the edge if they don't feel great with either of these guys. You know, because, look, whichever one they go with, you're gonna hold back your tight ends a little bit, right, to start the season. You're going to have to hold some of those guys in to make sure your quarterback gets protected until you know these guys can do what you want to do, whichever one of them it is.
Corey, you know, Traylon Burks has played pretty deep into these games for the first 2 preseason games. What does that kind of tell you about where he is right now in terms of his development and his readiness for week 1 against the Giants?
Well, I think he's ready, you know, like physically ready, and they want to make sure he's mentally ready. He missed a lot of reps in the spring, and I think they're trying to make up for that now. They're getting him out there playing as much football as they can so they can teach him as much as they can. So that's all I attribute it to is trying. I mean, Caleb Farley's playing a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. And, you know, because he hasn't played a lot of football. He hasn't played a lot of cornerback in his life. And so I think both of these guys, for this team in particular, just need to play a lot of football. That's all it says to me. I don't think it's a punishment. I don't think it's a question. I don't think it's, we got to play him into shape. Or, you know, hey, he's got to go out there and he's got to earn it because, you know, he's got to show us. I just think he needs to play. We need to get him out there. He needs to make the reads. He needs to see what's going on because there was a whole spring of reps that he missed.
So where do you think he will be, Corey, in the pecking order and in terms of usage week 1?
That is one of the things I've started to kind of think about is how they're going to deploy people because, you know, obviously Robert Woods is going to be out there a lot. Obviously, they have a great deal of trust in Nick Westbrook-Akine. Is it Akine or Akina?
Akine.
It's Akine.
You nailed it.
Akine, that's right.
You had it.
That's right, Akine. All right. So, you know, obviously there's a great deal of trust there. But I think also, and look, they like Kyle Phillips. All right. Were either of you guys at the day they brought us in to look at at all the melts of all the draft picks?
No.
With J-Rob? I mean, because, guys, when that day was over, when we looked at all the draft picks, everybody left with the same feeling, and that was Kyle Phillips was the most impressive tape we saw on the whole thing. Just, you know, 5th-round pick, we were all just, you know, UCLA kid. Not many of us had seen much of him. We were all like, wow, this kid's a football player. And that's portrayed itself in camp. Look, he's going to play. That kid's going to play. And so now you work Traylon in with Woods and with Akine, and, you know, he doesn't have to play every snap, but you drafted him where you drafted him for a reason. And that's because he's a big, strong guy who can make plays on the football at a, you know, very high level and then make plays with the balls in his hands. So he's going to be out there. Is he going to be out there every snap? No, he's not. But he's going to be out there consistently as a major part of the rotation. And like AJ, if he gets hot, you know, I would think he'd play more and more as they just try to get him the football more.
Corey Curtis from News 2 on with us here on Robby and Rexrode. So, Corey, if you're John Robinson today, knowing that you do have a lot of history with Logan Woodside and you've got a phenomenal idea of who he is and what he is as a player, how concerned are you about maybe the last week and a half in his performance? And is there enough concern in your mind where the Titans maybe ought to be looking at a veteran quarterback when roster cut down day happens next week?
Well, you know, look, it hasn't been great There's no doubt about it. And I guess that's what you have to look at. Are you going to say, are these last two games going to make me say, all right, the last 2 years, I'm not going to think about the guy I trusted for the last 2 years because this is where we are now. These last two games haven't been great. Now, pass protection hasn't been great. That's not the only reason, but I mean, it certainly hasn't been great. And what's out there? When you see the cuts, I guess, what's out there? Because he's taken on all comers in the past. And so I think the bigger question is, do they think Malik can be the two? I think because, if Malik is not the two, not ready to be the two, Logan Woodside's going to be the guy, all right? They're not going to bring in someone the week before the season and say, bye, Logan, and you're our backup now, to a guy who hasn't run it before and they don't know what they've got. At least that's my opinion. That could be dead wrong. So the real question here is, do they believe Malik is ready to be the two? Because if they believe Malik is ready to be the two, then I don't know if it matters if Woodside has a good camp or not, because then he would be gone. So I think that's the bigger question than if they bring in a veteran to replace Woodside.
So big picture, Corey, we've talked some today just about the Titans in the AFC, which is, of course, loaded. And there's a lot to find out once actual football begins. But do you feel any better, worse, feel the same about where the Titans fit in based on all the information that you've gathered here in the last few weeks?
My concern is the offensive line. And, look, we haven't seen the whole thing together. But we continue to have questions about the right tackle. And, we have to see if Aaron Brewer can hold up at left guard for an entire season. I don't have a lot of questions about defense. I like defense. I like their weapons on offense. Do they have Jamar Chase? Not that we know of, but there's not many of those guys in the league. We'll find more out about what they got, but I feel good going into the season that group's going to be able to produce at a decent level. Just the big question is that offensive line championship caliber? Can they do it? I think that's the remaining question mark. And unfortunately, I don't think that they've done a lot in this preseason to answer that question to where you're like, okay, we're good. And so that's why I say, I'm going to look for the waiver wire to see if they make a move and what they're doing.
Corey Curtis from News 2, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Corey, last thing for you. What do you make of this punting competition between Brett Kern and Ryan Stonehouse?
It's a real thing. It's a real thing. And that has nothing to do to me with Brett Kern and the way he's punted the football, because he's punted the football really, really well. It's one of those questions of, do we want another year or two from Brett because he's really good? Look, if you cut Brett, it wouldn't be because he wasn't performing at a good enough level, right? It would be, we want our punter for the next 12 years in Ryan Stonehouse. That's the decision you're making. Because I'm going to tell you guys, if they cut that kid loose, he is going to be on a team. He has a freaking cannon. Just a cannon. And I don't envy John Robinson for having to make that choice. It's a very tough choice to make. I feel like they're in a good spot, whichever one they take. Obviously, Brett gives you a lot of the intangibles about, with the angle punting and the punting inside the 20. There's a lot of those things that are there that are going to be better than Stonehouse. But you also feel like every time Stonehouse drops it on his foot, it's going to, probably burn up upon reentry. And that's pretty appealing.
I would say that is. Corey Curtis, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode, joins us every Monday morning at 8 o'clock. Corey, great stuff as always. Thanks for taking time to be with us this morning.
Thanks, guys. I will be back on the sideline this Saturday, so thank you to Kayla for filling in.
Yep.
COVID finally got me. After 2+ years, it tracked me down.
Well, we're glad you're feeling okay and looking forward to seeing you back out there on Saturday.
Good to go.
Absolutely. Corey Curtis, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. More thoughts on the Titans and the Buccaneers coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, The Game.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
He looks like 1,000 MAC level quarterbacks I've seen in college. this game.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guys.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Regal Realty Group on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Visit Samsung.com now to pre-order the new Galaxy Z Flip 4 or Z Fold 4 and get a free storage upgrade in case. Valid through 8/25/2022. See terms and conditions that apply.
Jewelry business, it's in my blood. I've been doing it all my life, and it's my passion.
Meet Daniel Sabalas, a third-generation jeweler at Genesis Diamonds.
This line of work, it's all about honesty and trust. It's about building relationships.
And that's what drew Daniel to Genesis, where it's all about education, transparency, and respect for each customer.
It's based on a family business mentality, and that's how we are. We're here to educate, to guide you, and we make it very easy. So we really go out of our way to educate customers in the right way. There's no stress level, there's no tension. The customer can feel that.
All this while providing the guaranteed best value price.
I've never seen a company that has the best price like this that I've seen anywhere. We are a powerhouse of diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds. No commission salespeople, no pricing games, no risk, no pressure, no cutting corners.
Genesis Diamonds is going to give you the best price, best quality, guaranteed, no matter what.
Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Do you suffer from lower back pain, knee pain, foot pain, or fallen arches? Do you? If yes, just stop and write this magic word, G-Defy, G-D-E-F-Y. What is G-Defy? G-Defy is the footwear designed by Gravity Defier Medical Technology with the worldwide patented VersoShock sole. Their shoes are clinically shown to relieve pain by a double-blind clinical study conducted by Olive View UCLA Medical Center. You can try a pair for 30 days with free corrective fit orthotic inserts. If you're not satisfied, just return the shoes for a full refund and keep the free orthotics as a gift. Put an end to suffering. Save $20 and get free shipping from Gravity Defier when you go to gdefy.com/radio and use code RADIO. That's gdefy.com/radio, code RADIO. You have nothing to lose but your pain.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Your favorite game, Silly Underdog Picks, is back. Sign up today at thegamenashville.com or the 102.5 The Game app. Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. Thanks to Corey Curtis for joining us in the last segment. So, Joe, a thrilling preseason game on Saturday night between the Titans and the Bucks, which I'll be honest with you, halfway through it, I was like, all right, let's move on to the regular season. I've seen enough.
Let's move on to replaying Jordan Love dimes. Oh. That's probably what you were doing,
right? Looked pretty good over the weekend, I will say.
Exciting. The future's bright.
QB1 in 2026. Looking forward to it.
Man, can you imagine? By then, they'll be so far behind the Lions.
Yeah, they will. You're playing catch-up the whole time.
I forgot to we have to remember Corey's nickname, by the way. It's Corey 10-Win Lions Curtis.
Oh, yeah. Big expectations this year for the Lions. I'm looking forward to it.
But
they're going to be much improved.
But yes, to your point,
it was brutal.
Well, look, I honestly like Lawan out there, and like Farley as much as he played, Burks as much as he played. At least there were some guys in the field Saturday who are going to be factors on Sundays this year. McCreary out there. You got Fulton a little bit. Brewer. Punting battle.
Yeah.
You had Malik Willis. So, altogether, compared to a lot of preseason games, it was actually pretty good. If you want to look at it that way. Why is my mic rattling like this?
I don't know what you've done to that thing.
You hear that sound?
I don't hear anything.
I do.
Okay, well, now I do.
I don't know what you've done. What did you make of Malik Willis and his performance in the game? 7 of 17, 80 yards, a touchdown. You ran the ball well, 5 carries, 42 yards. The elusiveness that we talked about earlier in the show, I think was evident again. Overall, what did you make of Malik Willis and his performance on Saturday?
Yeah, I think Vrabel kind of talked about, you had the one play that they wanted him to hit that route right away to NWI on the first play. He did. It was a little bit errant, a little bit behind him, but it was good enough. Made a couple real nice passes, a couple nice runs. He had some, the escapability at times was sorry, this is now bothering me. I am so flustered. The escapability was he has a knack. It's not just there's speed and running ability and all that, but he has a knack for avoiding tacklers.
Yeah.
In a quick sidesteppy way that's that could really serve him well down the road. So the arm's there. You're not going to have a lot of plays where you can just sit there and sit there and sit there. But he hung in, he stood in, let Okonkwo clear and bolted that pass for a touchdown. Was it progress from game one? I guess you could look at it that way. I think in both games you see why people are interested in him being a quarterback, and you see why he has such a long way to go. And you don't know right now if he'll get there. But if he does get to the point where the picture's clear and the ball's coming out quickly and the mechanics are consistent, because he also had some plays where he stood in, did everything right, and then the ball sailed on him.
Yep.
And that happens, and that's happened consistently. Can you get to the point where that is consistent with the footwork and everything, and the ball's more accurate, and the ball's out quickly, and then everything else that he brings to the table? Well, that's an interesting quarterback.
As far as he and Woodside are concerned, it was another, I thought, underwhelming day from Woodside. I mean, he finished this 7 of 11 for 56 yards and another pick, which is not a good throw on that play. I hear what Corey's saying in terms of, do the Titans believe that Malik Willis could be number 2? Because if they do, maybe that changes the dynamic anyway. I don't know how, if you're the Titans, and I could be wrong, but just watching Malik Willis play, I don't know how you could think he's ready to be number 2 right now. To me, I don't think he's really close at the moment. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to him. I think it's just, that's what it is. Yeah. And that's fine. But I don't think, to me, I don't think there's a scenario where Malik Willis is number 2. And right now, I don't feel good about Logan Woodside being number 2 based on the way that he's played lately. So they're in a very interesting spot there.
Well, I'm not completely closing my mind to it. But to me, the scenario is Willis has a great couple weeks. Woodside continues to not play well because everybody sees the preseason games. Well, what I'm telling you is that Woodside, I thought, was pretty good in a lot of practices before the preseason game and has not been pretty good from the first preseason game to now. He's kind of, I don't want to say nosedive, but it's gone down, which isn't good. So if that continues and Willis plays well and they don't have an option they like out there and they look at the roster and they just, we got to have this guy in the O-line or this guy at safety or this guy on D-line, whatever. It's we can't keep 3. All those things come together. It's possible. I would still guess right now that Logan Woodside is QB2 and Willis is QB3, and they keep 3. I've opened my mind a little bit to it. Woodside could make this a very simple discussion by just performing like he normally has performed in camps recently. So another week to find out if he does that. And, a couple big practices against another team that are more illuminating than, a lot of practices.
Yeah, I mean, it's something from Woodside. He's going to have to get it figured out. I said this earlier, I'd like to see both of them play a full half this next week against Arizona. I think probably in a perfect world, if you're the Titans, I guess you'd like to feel really good about Woodside right now, and maybe you wouldn't have to play him coming up on Saturday, and you could just give Malik Willis the whole thing. I don't think you should do that if you're the Titans. I think you should play both of them a half on Saturday against Arizona, and I think it's important that Woodside play well. Like, I get it. I understand that he knows the offense, and I understand that if you move on from him and you go get somebody else, learning this offense as a quarterback, it's not just, drop of the hat, you can do it. It's a complicated thing. But at some point, you got to play well, too. It's more than just knowing the offense. You got to stop throwing the ball to the other team. And right now, he's not playing well.
Yeah, I agree. So it's interesting. And how much do the coaches put into these preseason games? And what would it mean if they gave Willis the whole game Saturday?
I don't know.
I mean, I would probably take that as confirmation that Woodside's QB2, but I know some people would see that and say, okay, they're cutting Woodside.
Well, Keith brings this up on the text line, and this is a fascinating question because I don't know. Do you think someone would claim Woodside off the practice squad? This is coming from Keith.
Before he got the practice squad.
Before he got the practice squad, yeah.
No, I do not. I do not think anybody would claim Logan Woodside. They've loved him here. He's endeared himself to them. He's been a good backup quarterback who hasn't had to play. But I do not believe that he would be picked up. So you could do that too. You could expose him and probably be fine with him on your practice squad. I think you'd be fine with that.
Well, I think a big part of this is what you've brought up too. I think we've just assumed that they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks because it makes sense. But how do they really feel about keeping 3 quarterbacks? Like, are they more hesitant to do that than perhaps we've thought heading into this? I don't know. Like, that's going to be, to me, really fascinating to see when roster cutdown day happens, how they view that. Because, I mean, we've talked about it. If you are keeping 3, you're sacrificing somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's going to hurt you somewhere else. How hesitant are they going to be to do that?
Yeah, for sure. And that is to Keith's point. Because if you do that, if the scenario plays out where you put him on waivers, no one signs him, which I don't think anybody would, and then he's on your practice squad, then you still have 3 in theory, and then you'd have that extra spot on your roster. I guess it's a gamble. But then what are you doing in week preparation stuff? I mean, if Willis is QB2, then Willis is not going to do show team, or whatever you want to call it. So, I guess you could do that a lot of different ways. Jordan from Franklin on the text that says Colts are having similar issues at QB. Ellinger outperforming Foles. That's also been, I know I saw friend of the show, Stephen Holder, tweet, just so everybody knows, Foles is QB2, period. You can say whatever you want about the preseason and all that, he's QB2. Now, there's a big difference between Foles, QB2, and Frank Reich has talked about how he actually is a lot healthier than he was when he was with the Eagles. And, that's a guy who's won Super Bowl versus Woodside, who's never done anything in the NFL and, frankly, is never going to do anything of significance. I feel pretty good saying that. In an NFL, regular season. It's great for him to have gotten this opportunity to be a backup in the NFL. So, anyway, it's a different situation. I think he's still QB2 here, but I am wobbling on that too. Wobbling on a lot of stuff.
We'll take your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025. What do you make of the backup quarterback battle? What should the Titans do on that front as they move forward the final week of the preseason coming up this week as well? All that ahead. FanDuel wants you to be ready for game day when college football kicks off this week. Right now, new customers can get $150 in free bets guaranteed for week 1. Just place a $5 bet and you can get $150 in free bets, win or lose. So lots of interesting things coming up this week. The Vols, a big favorite against Ball State. Vanderbilt, a 6.5-point favorite against Hawaii. I think I'm probably taking Vanderbilt in that, but you take it any way you want to take it. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, now is the perfect time to give it a shot. The app is so easy to use, and they're always hooking you up with great odds. And when you win, you'll get paid fast as well. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Download the FanDuel app today. Sign up with promo code ROB and place a $5 bet to get $150 in free bets guaranteed to kick off the college football season. Once again, that promo code is ROB. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
TD ESPN Titans NFL Nation reporter Teron Davenport brings knowledge.
3 touchdowns. He was processing, getting rid of the ball quickly.
Passion.
Make no mistake about it. He absolutely has to hit the ground running.
And expertise on the two-tone blue and the NFL. Join TD every Monday at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Friday morning at 8 for all the latest on your favorite team. Teron Davenport is presented by Craneworks on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stop in to Batteries Plus Bulbs and save on Duracell, Ultra Boat, RV, motorcycle, and lawn, and garden batteries. See website for offer details and limitations.
The Nashville Sheriff is hiring correctional officers. Earn $52,500 after paid training and probation. Positions are available immediately. You must be 21 and over with a high school diploma or GED. Come join our family. That's $52,500 with great benefits. Apply now at sheriff.nashville.gov/apply or call 615-862-8170. Earn $52,500. Stop searching. Apply now. The Nashville Sheriff.
This week's Nashville's Best Deal is Seafood Sensation. Often imitated but never duplicated, Seafood Sensation is Nashville's original seafood restaurant. Right now, you can get half off a $25 gift card at thegamenashville.com/deals and enjoy some of your favorite seafood dishes, like their crab legs platter, grilled salmon, and more. That's Seafood Sensation, located at 2719 Jefferson Street near the TSU campus. Get half off a $25 gift card while they last at thegamenashville.com/deals.
This should be 8x7.
When it comes to closets, Janina's home organization business runs tip-top tidy.
Is this schedule right? I'm gonna need help.
But she needs to reorganize and find a new assistant.
I know, it's your last week, but can you make sure the Hanson pantry's wrapped?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN.
Welcome into Chase, Willie, and D-Mates.
Somebody company is delivered. There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators. Scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey, this is Pekka Rinne. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
I just think it's tough to run, talk to him about running out of the back of the pocket. And there's times where he's going to take off and make plays and protection breaks down and he's going to shrug guys off, and he did that. And found Dez, found Hassan. I don't want to see anybody get hurt, especially our quarterbacks. And just, you run out of the back of the pocket in this league, these guys are coming. So we'll continue to coach him and his pocket presence and being able to keep his eyes downfield. And, it's such a fine line. But just look at the beginning part of the game and the one, timing pass that we needed to complete and wanted to see him do. He did it. So, we at least made some progress there, and then we'll continue to work, on some of the other stuff.
That was Titans head coach Mike Vrabel discussing Malik Willis and his play on Saturday night against Tampa Bay.
Good quote. Good quote, Coach Vrabel.
Standing applause for Vrabel. Beautiful stuff from Mike Vrabel. What did you make of – so I think it's interesting what he's talking about there, because obviously we saw Malik Willis has some really good ability running the ball. I do think there have been times throughout the first couple of games where it's been interesting, because I think there have been times where he's held on to the ball in the pocket way too long, and I also think there have been times where maybe it hadn't been there immediately for him, so he just pulls it down and runs and maybe gives up on the play too quickly. That's kind of been a really interesting thing to watch, because usually it's like one or the other, and I feel like it's been a little bit of both with him at times through the first two games of the preseason, which is fine. Like, those are things that you can work on. I feel like to a certain degree for most rookie quarterbacks, with just the difference in speed alone, that's something you gotta learn at the NFL level. But his pocket awareness, pocket presence, when he's in there, he's tough to bring down. But I do feel like there have been some times where he's pulled it down too quickly and just taken off.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I agree with what Vrabel said there too, because there were a couple times the other night where it was like, that could have been like you could have really taken a hit.
Yep.
And he got out of it, but at some point that catches up with you. So, but some of those moments, and the way Vrabel put it, like the back of the pocket, like so often you got someone coming full speed behind you, and then you are hit hard,
slammed. Yeah.
Now some of the elusiveness, there have been times in the two games where it's not on him that the pass rush is right in his face, and the ability to sidestep is pretty special. So then the acceleration is too. So again, those are handy tools to use. I mean, I'd say everything, the arm, other than the arm strength, and at times, he can throw a pretty. Actually, I thought he threw a good ball. A deep ball. Was it to – it might have been to Racey McMath, or was it to Burks? He threw it was a quick timing route, and he knew where he was going all along, and it was incomplete, but it was a pretty good ball, I thought. He can put some really nice touch on some of his deep passes. We know he has the cannon arm, but the accuracy on a consistent basis, which is, I think, mechanical and probably footwork more than anything, has got to be improved. I mean, but the arm ability, the athleticism, and also like the personality, all those things are all very encouraging with him. You can't help but like him and like his approach and his outlook on all this stuff. I'd also say, as I say with everyone, I mean, it's far less likely that a quarterback is actually going to be what you hope they are in this league than that they are. And that's the same thing with him. I mean, it's a long way to go, and I can't sit here and predict or feel great that it's all going to come together and he's going to be like a standout starting quarterback in the NFL. Most people aren't.
Steven on the text line says, what am I missing? Why don't they just put Willis on the practice squad to begin the season?
Because you have to expose someone to the waiver wire, and if you did that, someone I'm quite confident would sign him.
Yes.
You can't just put someone on the practice squad. You have to let the rest of the league have a crack at signing them first. If they clear waivers, then that's all those guys who are on practice squads cleared waivers, which means none of the other teams wanted to sign them. So that's the dilemma. Again, as Keith said, you could probably do it the other way and put Woodside on waivers, and I think you'd probably be okay. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, the backup quarterback picture in the NFL can get awfully ugly, but I think he'd probably clear.
Ben on the text line says, put Willis in at number 2 so we can use him in packages. He's not ready, but the Titans are screwed if Tannehill gets hurt anyway. If Ryan gets hurt and you don't want to ruin Willis, then you lose Logan, even if you got to sign him again after dropping him if you cut him in the first place for the practice squad. So I guess just make Malik the 2. But either way, like the premise of that text, I totally agree with. Like to me, like if Tannehill gets hurt, they're in a world of trouble right now.
It's right, but it's the question of what if Tannehill has an ankle and it's 2 weeks,
right?
And those 2 games could be the difference between 11-6 and then 9-8 not making the playoffs.
Right.
That's the scenario that you just have to be prepared for. So what's your best bet? I going into camp and I said, it's Woodside. He's fine. He's safe. He won't hurt you. You run the ball. You play defense. You try to scrounge together a win. I could make the case. Okay. Sorry as my microphone rattles. Okay. Take Willis and run the ball and play D, and you maybe a little bit of a read option in there. Use that. Make things simple. And you got that extra threat with him, and is that actually worse than like the way Woodside's playing lately? I mean, I think you make the case. Is it worse? Now, the coaches may listen to that and say, dude, I mean, Woodside's been here for years, and there's still a huge difference, and Willis needs to redshirt, period. That may be their outlook, and it's just that simple. And it's either going to be Woodside QB2 or they're going to go out and find somebody.
Then the question becomes who is that? I mean, we've had people ask about Cam Newton earlier. The Mason Rudolph one is interesting. Like if Pittsburgh moves on from him, like to me, he's a guy that has started in the league before, and he's been the backup to Ben for a while. But Ben got hurt, he had to start. He was okay. Like I'd feel better about Mason Rudolph than I would Logan Woodside right now. I don't think there's any question about that. The problem is, like, the offense. How different is the offense in Pittsburgh? How difficult would it be to learn? Because that's the thing. Like, the backup quarterback, they got to be ready. They got to be ready to play. Like, Tannehill's one hit away from them having to get in there and play.
Yeah.
In week 1.
Yeah. Well, look, the Gabbert. If Gabbert is out there, then I think that's certainly better than Woodside.
Yeah.
I wasn't, like, blown away by what I saw from Blaine Gabbert this past week, but it's better than Woodside.
I don't think there's any question about that. I still, if I had to guess, Logan Woodside's probably the backup quarterback heading into the Giants game. That's just my guess as we sit here today. But I do think, and I said this earlier, I think John Robinson and his staff, you need to be looking hard at the quarterbacks that are out there. Regardless of whatever decision you make, I'd at least be giving heavy consideration to the quarterbacks that are out there when roster cutdown day happens. And look, maybe there's nothing out there that's worth bringing in. I think that very well could end up happening. But I don't know if it's quite a red flag. It's a big yellow flag. It's been tossed up with Woodside the last week and a half or so, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can't disagree. He's just not performing well and can't be given the coach's confidence. So maybe QB2 and RT1 are not on the roster right now.
Maybe not. I will say, we talked to Corey Curtis earlier this hour. Like, Nicholas Petit-Frere, to me, needs to be the starter week 1 against the Giants. Like, I thought it was pretty rough from Dylan Radins the other night. And I'm not, some offensive line guru out there. I did try to pay attention to him as much as I could, watching the game live on the TV. But it just you could see him getting caved in pretty quickly at times in the pass blocking game out there.
Yep, I don't have his grades. I don't have grades. I don't know what the Titans' grades were. I know PFF's grades were very bad.
They were
for Dylan Radins, for whatever that's worth. And I would not say it's worth a ton, but I will say that those grades kind of did match up with just from the press box or watching on TV. It didn't look good. I mean, I think as a run blocker, Dylan Radins could come in and could be pretty effective, but you've got to be able to hold up better than that in protection, and he is better than last year, but I'm more and more wondering, and we've talked about it, it's been thrown around a lot. I'm more and more wondering if he's just best off being a left guard. Now, if that's the case, next question on that, what if they do that and they bump him inside, which, see, that would still surprise me because then who's their swing tackle?
Yeah.
But if they did bump him inside, is he a better option than Aaron Brewer?
I have a hard time saying that he would be.
I do too. And so if he's not, then I think he's just the third tackle. But maybe he's the fourth tackle because they go get someone.
Could be. I mean, if he's not the starter week 1, what do you do with him moving forward? Obviously, it's still early, relatively speaking, in his career. I think it's pretty safe to say he's probably not going to live up to where he got drafted at this point. Like, I'd be stunned if we look back on and be like, man, that was a great pick in the second round for Dylan Radins.
They got that guy in the second round and not the first?
Like, at this point, I think we're probably never going to see that part of it. But can he be a competent?
Can he be serviceable
swing tackle?
Yeah. I think that's possible. I think he could be a serviceable swing tackle or guard on a roster in the league playing the NFL. But, yeah, we are not going to look back at that second-round pick and like that it was a second-round pick. Yeah, the only thing good about it is there was a worse first-round pick the year before that.
And then the question is, okay, is Nicholas Petit-Frere, if he ends up winning the job, which I think he's probably going to, certainly at some point this year, but I think he's going to win it by week 1. If he ends up winning the job, is he ready? Or is he just better than Dylan Radins? Because those are two very different things.
Agree. And I probably more that he's just better than Dylan Radins. However, I do feel right now, and it's early, but I do feel that we may look at Nicholas Petit-Frere's placement in the third round and like that down the road. I do like a lot of what he brings, but I'm sure there will be some rookie moments if that's the case. There is a question on the text line on the receiver front that I want to get to next.
We will do that. We'll get to that question coming up next.
Tease.
Wow. Rexrode is just on his A game today.
Woo!
Beautiful stuff. More talk on the Titans coming up next. 615-737-1025. Speaking of football, it is fantasy football season, and my friends at Twin Peaks are ready to hook you up for your fantasy football draft party, which includes a draft board, player stickers, free Wi-Fi, a $50 bonus for the commish, and a $5 bonus card for each drafter as well. When you're not on the clock, you can relax with one of Twin Peaks' refreshing 29-degree beers, or they got lots of great food for you to sample with your whole team and crew as well. Shareables like the double stack nachos, loaded fries, and multiple flavors of great boneless wings as well. So call my friends at Twin Peaks at Cool Springs to book your fantasy football draft party, 615-221-0869. Once again, that's 615-221-0869. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Let's put the green flag in the air and turn them loose.
Nashville's home for NASCAR.
He's going to try to make a big move here.
It's brought to you by the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. We are your racing station.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Save big this Labor Day at Electronic Express. Get a Samsung 65-inch 4K TV for only $599 or a Whirlpool 4-piece kitchen package for just $27.99. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, mattresses, and more. Don't miss out on an Acer gaming laptop for just $699 or a Google Nest Hub for only $54. Shop in-store or online with up to 36 months free financing. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
The stage is set. The rumors are true. The wait is over. My Chemical Romance. Live. The 2022 tour. This Tuesday night, Bridgestone Arena. My Chemical Romance. With special guests, Turnstile and Dilly Dally. Tickets are on sale now. Buy tickets at livenation.com. My Chemical Romance. In concert.
This is a relationship, just like your relationship. Dating and getting married is awesome and fun, but having been married for 24 years, I can tell you it only gets better.
Meet Ward Herbert, manager at Genesis Diamonds, talking about the importance of having a long-term marriage with your spouse and your jeweler.
What's in the DNA here is relationship building. How can we be a part of your love story forever? It's your engagement ring, it's your wedding band, it's your anniversaries, it's gifts for your children, it's being a Genesis customer for life.
Genesis Diamonds, where it's never about making a sale, it's about making a hero.
The greatest joy I get is helping you find your perfect ring, helping you find your perfect diamond, and having you walk out with a huge smile on your face because you know she's going to love it and it's going to be something you can be proud of forever.
And Ward knows a thing or two about relationships as a marriage counselor and an ordained minister. He can provide a little extra added value.
I did a wedding ceremony for one of our customers 2 months ago. He did not have a minister at the last minute, and I performed his wedding ceremony for him.
Genesis Diamonds, going above and beyond for every customer.
Now you may kiss the bride.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hi, I'm Flo from Progressive. Being a baseball fanatic like me can be stressful. It's not all sports points and touchdowns. So Progressive is going to help you take your mind off your team for a moment. Instead of thinking about how they missed that goal point score, think about the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, letting you choose coverage options based on your budget, unlike your team that missed the end zone net area. Well, anyway, hope this distraction about Progressive's Name Your Price tool was helpful. It sure kept me from thinking about all those penalty balls. Yay, sports!
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Chase McCabe.
The best way to figure that out is to watch Twitter.
Willie Donick.
Trying to move down the field for the winning field goal.
And Derek Mason.
I'm putting in my hours and I'm out of here.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Traylon Burks, the snaps he got last night, are you seeing him get targeted in games the way you'd like to?
Well, the thing that I've always tried to say with regards to receivers is they can't control when they get the ball. Okay, all they can control is that they get open and that we can review the film and say, hey, this is where we, would like the ball to go. I don't want to tell quarterbacks, hey, throw it to this guy. That's not the direction that we really want to head. but was really encouraged by some of the things that he did, especially without the football, trying to block. There were times that he was open, whether that be for a catch and run. And then there's some other times where, we would like to see a better route, just continue to progress and work on the conditioning in the game and all the things that are required of the receivers.
That was Mike Vrabel on Traylon Burks and the receiving group for the Titans. Vrabel's been pretty consistent on that message of, hey, you can't control when you get the ball, but you can control what you do on each and every play. The numbers will tell you it's not been a very inspiring preseason for Traylon Burks thus far. He had 1 catch on Saturday for 4 yards, not much production in the Ravens game either, and he's been playing pretty deep into these games. Now, Corey Curtis had kind of an interesting theory I thought of, and he thinks it's just trying to get him as much playing time as possible. There are some Titans fans that think, man, is he that far down the depth chart that he's playing into the fourth quarter in some of these games? How do you view the Traylon Burks situation, his production or lack thereof thus far in the preseason, and him playing that late into these games? What does all that mean to you?
Hello? That was not my mute, Professor K.
Sorry.
That's okay, Professor K. You got a lot going on today.
You do.
I'm gonna weave in 3 texts, okay, from the text line driven by WilsonCountyHoney.com.
Okay.
Dylan, asking, and I just lost him. Dylan asking basically,
how come Burks hasn't been performing?
Thank you. How come Burks hasn't been performing? Heidi, our friend Heidi, says Radens and Burks are underwhelming again. That's an interesting putting those two together. And then Jason from Mount Juliet making a good point about the backups. Not confidence-inspiring right now in terms of being able to play in a football game. I also think both quarterbacks are hurting the receivers. Agree. Still don't know anything about Burks. Agree. And I don't know if that's because of him or the quarterback. I think it's more the quarterbacks. So I think that, and I will say, Vrabel did mention the C word there, conditioning, in that little commentary. So, but I don't think like conditioning is why he's playing a lot in these games. I don't think you get fantastic conditioning work unless you're, if you're in a long drive, if you're on defense or either side, it's a long drive.
Somebody running a freaking NASCAR race outside. Anyway, continue.
Is that Heidi speeding away?
We're on to you, Heidi.
Heidi spying on us again. But I think Burks I think it's just trying to get him as much work as possible to get him ready. He's not ready. I think right now Burks is going to be a factor for this team. I absolutely agree. See, the thing is, I think he'd almost be overvalued by some people had Woodside put a little more air on 2 passes to him, one in each preseason game. And he had gone and gotten the first one in the end zone in the first game.
Or if Willis had seen him streaking down the field with nobody within 10 yards of it.
Right. And by the way, he was wide open there because of a coverage bust. It's not like he ran such an amazing route that he got himself wide open. The Ravens screwed that up, and Willis didn't look and didn't see him. So I think that most of his lack of production is about quarterbacks not getting the ball. I also think that when the season starts, he's going to be on the field some. They're going to specifically target getting him the ball some. Whether I think you'll see at least a receiver screen or 2 to him in the opener, maybe a deep shot to him in the opener, maybe a jet sweep. Like you'll see stuff like that early in the season. But I don't think Traylon Burks right now projects to be a high-volume snap guy in the offense at the beginning of the season. I think they're going to try to utilize what he brings, and he brings plenty in terms of ability. He's not on the same level right now in terms of down in, down out, performing, doing everything you need to do in that position, which is more than just go out and run your route. That he's not on the same level of Robert Woods or Nick Westbrook-Akine at this point.
Well, and Vrabel got a question to this yesterday in terms of basically, having specific plays in mind to get people the ball. Are you worrying about that right now? And he's like, yeah, not in the second game of the preseason. Not worried about that.
Yeah.
Now, come game 1 against the Giants, that's going to be a different story. Like, look, just the way that he's built with the size and speed, makes sense to want to get the ball into Traylon Burks' hands. So I think they're going to probably try to do that coming up in week 1. You know, how much is he ready for? How much are they going to put in his plate on week 1? I don't think a ton. Like, I don't think he's going to get a ton of snaps in week 1 against the Giants. Like, the lion's share of the snaps when they're on offense right now at receiver, especially if they're in 2 tight end, are going to be Woods and Westbrook-Ikhine. I mean, just it's what it's going to be to start the season.
Absolutely. And, of course, if you're a Titans fan, I think most Titans fans would say, man, how could undrafted NWI be ahead of first-round pick Traylon Burks? You hope that changes. And it could. It could change during this season. That would be that would be great news on the Burks front because I know what NWI is bringing. He's maxing out every day. And he's turned into at least a pretty darn good possession receiver. But, of course, you want more explosiveness than that. So if Traylon Burks starts wedging into that, that's a great sign because NWI is not going to yield. But in the meantime, I think Kyle Phillips is going to – I feel more confident about Kyle Phillips having like a consistent role in the offense. And I would guess right now – I mean, it's close, but I would guess like Racing McMath didn't have what I would call a great week. Like a week ago, I was like, oh, he was like all the rage, right? But I still think that he probably is a little bit ahead of Traylon Burks right now.
I think when you look at Burks, I think it's easy to forget sometimes that he is a rookie. And you brought this up earlier. I think more and more you've seen lately rookies come in and immediately make an impact. I just wonder, how much they're going to bring him along, how careful he's going to be, but also, is there a point this year where it all clicks for him and, by the time week 12 rolls around, he is a consistent threat in the offensive passing game? Because I feel really good about Woods. I feel good about Westbrook-Ikhine for what they are. But I still think for this offense to get to its maximum ability this year, it's going to require Traylon Burks to be a big part of it. And if he's not, I still think there is a limitation to the receiving room if he's not part of it, if that makes sense.
I think you're probably right. I mean, I think that the 2 receivers who are going to start, I think can be good players. I think Austin Hooper is going to be a good player. Kyle Phillips will make some plays. Dontrell Hilliard out of the backfield. He's got some different people to throw to. And I do think that vertically, I mean, look, I have to look at practice. If there's a change, other than that Tannehill is a completely different person in quarterback, if there's a change, it's, to me, like they are emphasizing going vertical. Yeah. So with McMath and or Burks, I think you're going to see attempts there. But, yeah, it's hard. I would agree that he's got to have some kind of role and an increasing role and some big plays this year for them to be what they want to be.
Well, and the other part of this is we're evaluating the games right now, and it is Malik Willis and Logan Woodside at quarterback. How much different does it look when Tannehill's the quarterback throwing him the ball? I don't know.
Right. Basically all the big plays he's made in camp were Tannehill's passes.
Yeah.
So, yes, very good point. By the way, Heidi from Dixon said, I wish my minivan sounded like that. She's driving like a newfangled 21st century mystery machine out there somewhere with a waterbed in it. Bring us some Scooby snacks, Heidi.
Beautiful stuff. 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. More on the Titans coming up next. Got a lot more of your thoughts to get to as well. This week's Nashville's Best Deal is from Seafood Sensation. Seafood Sensation is a lively restaurant in the heart of Nashville that uses the best ingredients and provides a great atmosphere as well. You can get half off a $25 gift card at theGameNashville.com/deals while supplies last. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Your speaker at home is so smart that even Alexa knows where to find Nashville's best sports talk.
102.5 The Game is Nashville's best sports talk.
Ask Alexa to enable 102.5 The Game. Once enabled, ask Alexa to play 102.5 The Game.
Welcome to 102.5 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen. Aloha again. This is the Commodore Report. I'm Kevin Ingram. Vanderbilt football's long-awaited trip to Hawaii is underway, with the team leaving Nashville for Honolulu on Sunday. Clark Lee's Commodores will put in the game week work in Oahu and then open up the season against the University of Hawaii on Saturday night. Junior quarterback Mike Wright is excited to get started and visit a new place.
I haven't been. I've only been anywhere close, I guess you could say, as California. But besides that, no, I haven't been. So it'll be an experience.
Before departing for Hawaii, Wright was voted one of the team's captains for the 2022 season, since the program's growth has been noticeable.
When you go back and look at old film, you're just like, oh my goodness, we've come so far, and yet we have so much to tap into. So when you can see that progress and when you can see yourself improving, it's just that level of that desire to achieve more, that desire to just keep going is there.
Wright is one of three captains from the offense, joining tight ends Ben Bresnahan and Gavin Schoenwald. And from the defense, returning leaders Davion Davis and Elijah McAllister, plus Anthony Orji, Ethan Barr, and Jalen Mahoney. Great start for the 2022 season for Vanderbilt soccer, winning both games on their trip to Indiana. The Commodores beat Purdue 1-0 on Sunday thanks to a Rachel Dureski goal in the 78th minute and great work by goalkeeper Kate Devine, including a stop on a penalty kick in the 84th minute. At 2-0, Darren Ambrose's squad will open up the home schedule on Thursday against Western Kentucky. That is the Commodore Report on 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan.
Get in on the conversation at 615-737-1025. The game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. An oil change with quality oil like Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic can help your engine get more out of every mile. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for only $35.99. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3. Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game set.
Checker flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Welcome back in. Final hour of Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Talking Titans, taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. By the way, very quickly, some kind of, sort of, not really news from earlier today. The Athletic reporting that the Memphis Grizzlies apparently have interest in trading for Kevin Durant. So they're one of like
Shams?
9. Yeah,
Shams got this?
He did. So one of like 9 teams that he names in this report.
Are there potential terms mentioned?
I think they are. Let's see here. Not really specific terms. I don't think they have much interest in trading
Ja Morant,
Jaren
Jackson. Yeah. Well, hey, so I would be very interested to see Kevin Durant with the Memphis Grizzlies playing with Ja Morant.
So we'll see what happens.
Durant, baby.
It would just be those two. They'd trade everybody else to get them.
Yeah, I'd still watch.
Yeah, me too.
We'll see what happens on that front, if anything at all. But wanted to pass that along. A little bit of intrigue earlier in the program.
I like it. May as well get in there.
615-737-1025. Megan on the text line says, has Willis been throwing to Burks often in training camp or targeting other receivers more? I'm just curious. Maybe Tannehill has better chemistry with Burks than Willis does. This is coming from Megan on the text line.
I would say in terms of camp, it's been quite, Willis has thrown to Burks quite a bit. Burks, again, this kind of goes to what we've been talking about. Burks and where he is in the pecking order. I mean, it's not like he's swimming in first-team reps. Now, he's getting some, but he's getting a lot of reps with the backups too, and that's where obviously Willis – but like even in like 7-on-7, there's a lot of different periods where all the quarterbacks end up really throwing to all the receivers a lot. I mean, it's there's plenty of reps to go around, different guys with different guys. When it's team stuff, I mean, Tannehill mostly is throwing to Woods, Westbrook-Akine, Hooper. Then you get in some Phillips in there, and then you do have some McMath and Burks as well. But I would say Tannehill has better chemistry with all the receivers because he's just right now a much, much better quarterback than anybody else on the roster. So that right there, the ball's out, it's on time, he knows where people are supposed to be, and he throws it better than everybody else.
No, that's generally a pretty good sign there at that point. One thing I did take away from the game Saturday, Joe, I'm pretty excited to watch Kyle Phillips return punts this year. I mean, there's one of them that was kind of an adventure, but it was a good return on that play. And then the second one, you know, he stumbled a little bit towards the end. He was, you know, maybe a tackle away from breaking that thing. It was, I think he's going to be a fascinating guy. We've talked about him in the receiver game, but punt return, which, you know, the return game has basically become an afterthought in today's NFL. I understand that, especially kickoff return. But I think Kyle Phillips, he might have something there returning punts this year.
I think this is the first time since Adoree Jackson's probably second year when there was still hope that he was going to be, you know, a difference maker as a returner. And I want to say he had a really big and important return in a win at Jacksonville, which was actually significant at that time. It's the first time since then that you've actually thought, wow, the Titans might actually have something that could really help them at punt returner. So, yeah, he's going to be fun. He's going to have some good returns this year. He's just extremely good at changing direction. He's extremely shifty, tremendous feet, and so that'll help him in that way. And although he's not big, he's slight.
He is,
but he takes those hits. He seems to be pretty tough, and obviously you're going to see him some in the offense too with those quick feet. So he's fun. Real quick on on the Burks discussion. And we've talked about this a lot, but I got this stat sent to me. So in the Burks discussion, I've made the comparison a lot, right? A.J. Brown. This is what you hope for. What you hope for is you get some big plays early in the year, and then eventually, like, he becomes essential. Now, it is different. At this point in A.J. Brown's first training camp, we all knew A.J. Brown's going to be a player for this team. He's trending toward it. But still, first game of the season at Cleveland, Titans rolled. He played 25 snaps. That is officially 42% of the offensive snaps. So he was not at that point ready. And I'm trying to even remember in 2019. Obviously, Corey Davis is out there. I mean, I don't even remember exactly who all got the snaps. I mean, Tajay Sharp, I think, would have gotten out there and gotten some of those snaps. You know, it's not like they were loaded at receiver. But even then, with this talent that you saw looking really good in camp, knowing he's going to make a difference and having a huge play in that game, one of those stick routes, and he takes it for a big play, he played, 25 snaps. That's worth keeping in mind with Treylon Burks. I think it's going to be much the same thing early this season. And what you hope is there are some big plays sprinkled in there and that he more and more wedges himself into the offense.
Let's see here. Delaney had 5 catches for 55 yards that day and 2 touchdowns.
So you had Delaney Walker still. Although I shouldn't say that was interesting because, of course, by midway through that season, you kind of knew that it was getting late for him.
AJ had 3 catches for 100 yards that day, and Derrick Henry 1 catch for 75 touchdown. That screen pass,
that little throwback screen.
It may not have worked since then, but that's when it was very effective.
Who are you looking at? Who else had targets at receiver that day?
There was Deion Lewis with 4, Adam Humphries with 1,
yep.
Corey Davis with 3, and he didn't have a catch. Tajay Sharp with 2, Michael Pruitt 1.
Yeah, so
Johnny Smith 1.
So Humphries and Sharp rounded it out. Corey Davis, and then you saw A.J. Brown. You saw the big playability. But again, even with that, those guys not doing anything. He played 25 snaps. In the game. So keep that in mind. It's going to be a process.
Switching to the other side of the ball, I thought the Titans defense looked pretty good on Saturday. Now they started Bud Dupree. He got some, I would call it significant playing time. Caleb Farley was in there a bunch. Monty Hooker played in the game as well. I came away from that game, Joe, and maybe it's because I was watching them and looking for them, but Rashad Weaver and Ola Danny to me are pretty good. Like they've carved out a role defensively, and I understand it's a Tampa Bay offensive line that was banged up anyway, and as the game goes on, less and less guys that are actually going to matter on the field are out there. But Ola Adaney and Rashad Weaver, I think the Titans, not only with their starters are legit at outside linebacker, I think they've got a legitimately dangerous rotation at outside linebacker. Like, I'm not saying Ola Adaney is going to become a household name in the NFL at some point this year, but I think they've got 4 guys, and Vrabel was raving about Adaney yesterday at the press conference. I think they've got 4 guys that they feel really good about heading into the season at that position, which you've been a Titans fans long enough. That has not always been the case here.
Yeah, no question. Adaney's wearing out guys who aren't going to play in some cases, but still, man, he just kept coming. And David Nene also, Nene, and it's a work in progress on my part there. Also, again, was out there making some plays. I mean, he's been a nice camp story. I could see definitely a potential for him, like on the practice squad. Honestly, like you look at him in some years with a Titans team, and I'm sure if you go around the league, he might be a guy who get more opportunities. He's a 5th guy right now, but I'm with you. Weaver especially. Weaver is a guy who there's no question. And I thought so last year. I thought so watching him in college. 4-3 defensive end, kind of looks like that sometimes too. Really physical. A guy who I'll be interested to see. I think you can give some rest to your 2 starters more, and we'll see if that ever happens with Harold Landry. They always talk about it. They don't do it, but maybe with Bud Dupree. And I think I'm not, if I don't smash my head on my microphone, I am not ruling out Rashad Weaver as maybe a first down, early down guy instead of Dupree. I mean, Dupree plays a great effort. He's been a good run stopper and all that stuff. But Rashad Weaver is just so physical and big. It's going to be really interesting with him in particular. I think Adaney is great to have as a depth guy, and if you lose someone, then he can come in and you feel pretty good about that as your 4th guy. But I think their 3rd guy, in sub packages, I'm very interested to see what they do with him. I think you're going to see him out there in some important situations.
By the way, I saw Mike Herndon talking about this from PaulKaharski.com. T.R. Tart just absolutely blowing up and obliterating somebody on Saturday.
Yeah.
Like that battle with him and Naquan Jones. What do you make of that? Because it feels like Tart, nobody ever talks about T.R. Tart, but he's, I think, going to be a pretty big factor for the Titan defense this year.
Well, don't forget, he was hurt last year for a good share of the season, and that opened the door for Naquan Jones, who did a really good job. But when T.R. Tart is right, T.R. Tart is disruptive.
Yeah.
So I mean, to me, he's definitely ahead of Naquan Jones at the nose. I think both of them make the team. There are a lot of guys in that D line who are pushing to. That's going to be really interesting. They're, to your point earlier about the spots on the roster, like how important is it for them? How many do they want to keep? Because there's a lot of guys out there. Deshaun Hand has been out there a lot. We've talked about DeMarcus Walker out there a lot. But yeah, T.R. Tart, I agree. He doesn't get talked about enough. He is a nice piece to have to go with Simmons and Autry, and I think you start the discussion with him.
Well, and things to watch for this week on that front in terms of injuries. Is Nate Davis able to get it back out there this week at right guard? And is Danico Autry out there on the field this week as well? I mean, 2 things that it's not a big deal now necessarily when they're out in the preseason, but you'd like to see them back on the field sooner rather than later.
Yeah, if you want to talk concerns on defense, Danico Autry was such a big part of what they did last year and such a great signing by John Robinson. And he was banged up a fair amount last year too and fought through it, but we've seen very little of him in camp. Can you expect the same level of play from him this year? Heidi, go to work.
Slow down.
And if you don't get the same level of play, what does that mean? They have other options, but Danico Autry is really important. It'd be good, I think, for the Titans to see him out there a little bit. They're not gonna, it's gonna be very careful and all that stuff. But even maybe in one of these joint practices, see him out there against the Cardinals this week.
We'll have more thoughts on the Titans coming up next, including a position battle that continues to be more and more intriguing by the day. That's up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
2, 3, 4, look.
High school football is here. Join Big Joe Dubin every Friday night at 6 for The Game Blitz, presented by Apple Collision Centers.
Just a small sample of these great coaches in our area.
We'll go around the mid-state for scores and reports on all the big games.
If I'm a high school coach, I want the challenge.
The Game Blitz is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
312 Pizza Company is Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria, and they're now hiring. Work for a family-owned business and be a part of their incredible team. 312 Pizza Company is hiring for all positions, including host, waitstaff, bartenders, cooks, and more. 312 Pizza Company offers health insurance and pay time off to full-time employees. Contact Kimberly at 615-730-7888 or email at contact@312pizzaco.com. 312 is an equal opportunity employer.
Are you sick and tired of constant pain in your knees, hips, or back? Especially this time of the year. You need to be moving pain-free, right? Hey, Willie Donick here for the team at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is helping people every day, giving them lasting pain relief using the latest advances in regenerative medicine. The science is simple. They concentrate your own body's healing agents and apply them to your aching joints, restoring and repairing the damaged tissue. No drugs, no steroids, no surgery. The old remedies for pain are not the only remedies. You need to learn more about how regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics can change your life. Make this the last summer you suffer from chronic pain. They've got clinics here and all over America. This is the exciting new, natural way to deal with joint pain. No side effects, no downtime. So call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Dierks Bentley. Beers on Me Tour 2022. This Friday, Bridgestone Arena. I'm a little bit holy water, but still a little bit burning man. Dierks Bentley, live in concert. Yeah, I'm somewhere on the beach. If you don't come through, buddy, that's on you, cause the beer's on me. On sale now. Buy tickets at livenation.com.
Well, you've got the whole world listening. What do you got to say?
Never miss a moment of the show. Subscribe to the Robby and Rexrode podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee, taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Forgot what the word text was for a second. 615-737-1025.
I was going to make a joke I won't make.
That's good.
It's good.
It's probably good.
Michelle's like, what?
You usually just go for it.
Yeah.
Probably a good thing you didn't.
It's self.
Are sending Nick Mullins to the Vikings for a conditional 7th-round pick in 2024. A new potential backup for Kirk Cousins has come from Tom Pelissero.
Well, Q3, 2, 1 before someone says, how about Kellen Mond, who, by the way, is
Looks
not
like
good.
Totally punting on.
Why they just did that. I remember last year. Kellen Mond, take over Kirk. Hey, actually, we're making fun of all the analysts around the NFL. And Malik Willis is going to take Ryan Tannehill. So heard it last year. Watch out, Kirk Cousins. Kellen Mond is taking your job.
3rd-round pick, 66 overall for Kellen Mond.
So, yeah, not happening. And it probably tells you a little bit about how things are going with him there.
Congratulations to Nick Mullins. Hope he enjoys himself in Minnesota. But there is some.
He's not bad.
He's all right.
He's okay.
615-737-1025. By the way, Gator Tim on the text line says, Joe, Bust Dupree, not Bud Dupree, Bust Dupree has never been a run stopper. He literally has 0 tackles other than sacks, that's the literally is your favorite there.
Yeah.
The first thing I saw when I looked up Bud Dupree's stat sheet, it was his sack total in 2019 was 11.5. He had 68 tackles.
Yeah, like, are you kidding, Gator Tim?
He's been a pretty good run stopper in his career.
He's actually has a reputation as being one of the best run-stopping outside linebackers in the NFL with the Steelers, which to that point in 2019 with the Steelers, looking at Football Outsiders, which is a very good site, his advanced stats versus a run, he ranked 5th among outside linebackers as a run stopper. So, yeah.
BBN, baby.
That's right. He probably learned that in Blue Light Special Stadium way back in the day. But, yeah, no, Bud Dupree's been a very good run stopper. I just say this about Rashad Weaver because he's just so physical and so overpowering.
Relentless was the term that Rabel used.
Yeah, and I just wonder if, do you save Dupree a little bit for pass rushing if you can weave Weaver in. I did not mean to do that. And some early downs. I don't know. Something to watch. Something to consider.
Something else to watch, an interesting position battle going on right now at punter for the Tennessee Titans. Ryan Stonehouse in the game the other night. He was holding, he was punting, he was running for first downs. Anything you wanted Ryan Stonehouse to do, he was doing the other night. What do you make of where this stands right now, the battle between Brett Kern and Ryan Stonehouse, and what they're looking for out of those two over the course of the final couple of weeks before the regular season comes here now?
Another thing to watch this week, like how much holding is Stonehouse doing? Because at some point it's like
that's a big deal,
right? Like they're trying to figure out initially. It's like they're trying to figure out what it looks like, how he's doing. If he keeps doing it, it's almost like they're getting him ready to do it in the season. Dude, what is going on with me in my head today?
I don't know.
So yeah, that's something to watch. I think it's a real thing. That's a tough one. Like right now, I would still bet on Woodside as QB2. I think I would bet on Petit Frere as right tackle 1 to start the season. I still think that Caleb Farley is going to start, but the whole thing with McCreary is really interesting, and he's going to have a role. There is no doubt. I don't know if you get to the punter situation, it's really hard. I've been kind of the mind, it's still going to be Kern, right? Come on, it's Brett Kern. They know they can trust him. Been so many years. As Vrabel said the other day, he's punting better this year than a year ago. Vrabel definitely a couple times last year expressed his displeasure with Brett Kern's punting. But if you think Ryan Stonehouse is a stud for the next decade for you, you're not going to have him for the next decade if you put him on waivers.
Well, and as Corey Curtis pointed out earlier, that's the decision. Like I think Brett Kern can still help you, but if you think you may have found a punter that can help you for another 10 to 12 years, that's a pretty interesting decision for John Robinson and the Titans. And Joe Rexrode caught up with Ryan Stonehouse after the game on Saturday against Tampa Bay. Here was that conversation between Rexrode and Ryan Stonehouse.
How do you feel about where things are right now?
Yeah, I'm working hard to, find a role on this team, and that's what I want to go show everybody is that I can punt in this league, and that's kind of my goal.
So everybody's seen the booming.
But yeah, this is definitely more of I'm focused on myself and how I can, compete against myself, honestly. So it's been awesome just to be around him and learn from him, but at the same time, the goal is still the goal.
How important do you think the holding is here, the operation of making sure everything is smooth and that?
Yeah, it's extremely important, and getting Randy to trust me is a huge part. And so every day, just work on going and catching snaps before practice and during practice with him and holding the team, and hopefully, just making it stronger, our relationship stronger. You know what I mean? And so it's important for sure.
The one day I think last week, I think he missed 3 with you holding. Was that you at any point? Like in the final, when you came out of that, did you feel like there were holds in there that were a little off?
I mean, it's the whole operation, and there is fault on my end, but at the same time, I'm want to take accountability for how I'm holding, and if it's, if we're off in rhythm or it's a changing of the holder, I want to make him as comfortable as I can, and I think I did that coming back the next day and, get him down for him, put him in the right spots, and then, getting the nod for the game holding. I think that was an awesome experience.
So it's gotten better since then.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm working every day to improve it, so it's been great.
All right, thanks, man.
Yeah.
That was Titans punter Ryan Stonehouse there with Joe Rexrode after the game on Saturday.
Hey, Ryan, remember when you had that 68-yard punt? That was awesome.
That was sick, bro.
I did. When
Elite capital J journalism from Joe Rexrode there on Saturday.
Shine the light in his face. I want answers, Ryan. I actually went up to him, and he was, of course, on his phone, like all the kids are these days.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you looking at, Twitter? And he was like, and for a minute, he was kind of like, I think he was kind of surprised. And he was like, yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Figured.
Okay.
It was either Twitter or Insta, right?
Yeah.
Hey, people were talking about Ryan Stonehouse after that game.
He had a memorable game.
He did. So if I were him and just did what he did, I'd be looking at Twitter too, seeing all the awesome things people were saying about me.
I mean, if they don't go with him, he's definitely getting picked up, right, by somebody, I would think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't have a complete grasp on every single punting situation across the league.
That's your homework for this week.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to actually see some punter rankings, and this goes along with my call for more punter awareness. I feel like someone would pick him up. Yes, he is. I mean, he's got a can. And again, I think the directional punting, it's not like it's a disaster. Like it's not like he's a guaranteed touchback no matter what. He's got the different style there when it's a short field, and I thought the last 2 were pretty decent. Like that, like I said with the question, he put that one, I think, around the 6, and then it bounced back and went out of bounds like the 12 or whatever, but it was actually almost perfect. So he's not as good as Kern at that stuff, and I have no doubt that if you talk about short field punting, like you are better off this year with Kern than Stonehouse. And you may be better off. If you're better off at all in holding, that still might give it to Kern because it's like you can't mess around with Randy. I mean, Randy's got to be as good as Randy can be.
Randy's got to be as good as Randy could be, and you need that operation to be perfect. Look, as somebody who watched firsthand potentially the worst professional field goal operation of all time that I've ever seen last year with the Green Bay Packers, holder's pretty important.
See, it is. And I'm just excited that we're talking this much about punting, actually. I think this
McAfee would be very happy with us.
Oh, he would be. So we don't have time right now, but did you see this Heidi hot take? Heidi's on one today.
I did. We'll have to get to that coming up next. We'll get to several hot takes on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com on the other side. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Hey, Preds fans.
Running across to make the save is Sarah.
You can now hear Nashville's best sports talk.
The backhander, he scores!
And every Predators game on 106.3 FM.
Oh, that was a thing of beauty.
From downtown Nashville to Rutherford and Williamson counties.
Duchesne with the overtime winner.
Catch all the action on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Men, what if I told you that now you are able to get testosterone replacement therapy in the comfort of your own home? No more weekly trips to the doctor's office. We come to you 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Be seen by a licensed medical professional in the privacy and comfort of your own home or office. You decide. Schedule your appointment today at CoolSpringsMD4Men.com.
Lauren and Tony Dungy present Uncommon Influence, Saying Yes to a Purposeful Life book launch event, August 26th at Bethel World Outreach Church in Brentwood. NFL Hall of Famer and Super Bowl winning coach Tony Dungy with a special performance by CeCe Winans, along with a conversation with Jimmy Miotto, President and CEO of Compassion International. Don't miss Lauren and Tony Dungy, along with CeCe Winans for the Uncommon Influence launch event, August 26th at Bethel World Outreach Church in Brentwood. For tickets, visit transparentproductions.com.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here, and football is back, and you can kick off week one with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. All you got to do is sign up with promo code ROB to get in on the action. Then you can turn game day into payday all season long. I'm looking at Derrick Henry over on rushing yards. I'm looking at the Titans to take down the Giants in week one as well. But you do what you want to do. Play your way and bet on more than just the final score. Wager on everything from touchdowns to total yards to catches. You can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. So don't fumble your chance to get $150 in free bets. Win or lose with promo code ROB. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
O'Reilly. Improve your vehicle's gas mileage and power with Royal Purple Fuel Injector Cleaner at O'Reilly Auto Parts. And right now, buy one 6-ounce bottle and get one free, plus earn double O Rewards points with your purchase. Save money on gas and boost performance with Royal Purple Fuel Injector Cleaner at O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN. Welcome into Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Somebody company is delivered. There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming. Get the extra point, no problem. And the Nashville Predators. Scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey, this is Roman Yossi. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in. Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. Talking Titans, welcoming your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Heidi from Dixon on the text line with a scorcher. You ready for this one? Says, quote, if I give J-Rob a 10% chance of getting fired next offseason, Burks might get 30 catches. Dylan Radins is a joke. Petit Frere might just be a placeholder player. All the draft failures and signings we had before them that failed, it's closer to happening than it was this time a year ago. Imagine if more question marks fall the wrong way than the right way. This is coming from Heidi from Dixon on the text line.
Just to correct you, she just called him petite.
I know, but
petite.
She did do that.
That would be unfortunate. If you're an offensive lineman and your name is just petite, that's tough. That's tough to overcome. But it's Petit Frere.
A kicker whose name is Shank. It's not good.
Yeah, wow. We haven't talked enough about John Robinson getting fired lately. I think that's so all those things. Here's the thing, Heidi, and I think this always has to be part of the discussion. He's had some misses. I mean, there is no doubt. And it's trending now to look like a first-round pick at offensive tackle, followed up by a total zero, followed up by a second-round pick at offensive tackle who looks like, journeyman better as a backup, not really starter-level player. That's what it looks like right now. And that's not good. And we'll see with Petit Frere, and we'll see with, Burks this year. But my question for you, Heidi, is what does the team do this year? Because the overall team success has been tremendous under John Robinson, and that's ultimately how you judge a GM. I think sometimes he's judged a little bit more on misses than overall success, just kind of like Chris Ballard is judged like his overall success is not close, and yet I think a lot of people would still say he's done a better job, which I don't understand.
Makes no sense.
But that's like just how a lot of the discussion seems to go around these things. So, I think it's important to scrutinize all this stuff, and there are some questions that could break wrong for them this way, and it's not good for John Robinson. But as far as like his seat actually warming up, man, you got to have a big fall off on the field on Sundays for that to really be a legitimate discussion.
Well, they both just signed contract extensions.
Yeah, well, there's that too. I'm trying to gently rip Heidi's take because I'm like she's swirling around the studio with her waterbed left and right in the van. I don't know what the heck's going to happen with Heidi. I'm trying to be like low key here.
Well, I mean, it's not like she said 60. She said 10%, which I still think is high.
That's fair. That's fair.
She said 10%. I mean, they both signed contract extensions. Neither one of them should be on the hot seat. Like, I get it. There have been some draft picks that have not gone well for John Robinson, and we'll see about Burks and Willis and all these other things. But like to your point, the number one job at the end of the day is still to win. And they've done a whole lot of winning around here. Now hadn't gotten better in the playoffs. And that's going to have to get better at some point. And could they do that this year? I think it's going to be a more challenging regular season this year, just given their schedule and who all they play and the depth of the conference, all those things. But they've still done a whole lot of winning the last few years around here with this group.
Well, and when you say they, of course, I like to call them Rob together.
Yep.
It's efficient that way. I do think you separate them, and I think right now Vrabel's in discussions among best coaches in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean
that's reality. He is in discussions among best coaches in the NFL.
I need to go back on OddsShark and see if he's still like in the top 10 of most likely coaches to be fired.
There's some interesting stuff out there.
There is.
And Robinson, again, he's had very good tenure, but I would say that right now you separate those two a little bit. Like Vrabel is kind of he's a rising star. He's a star, young star in the coaching profession in the NFL. John Robinson's been a very good GM. There's a little bit of separation, I'd say, between those two. Heidi, I hope you are, by the way, like pulling over, not doing this while driving. She says, and Farley and the backup running back that played 12 snaps. I demand more, wasting Henry's prime.
Well, what are we talking about with Farley? Like Farley, he was hurt last year, and he's been on the field the whole camp so far.
Well, I will say you could have drafted Newsome, and he could have been a factor for you right away. I mean, we don't know that it's going to work out as a first-round pick. We don't know.
Right, but that's the thing. We don't know. Like, we got to see him on the field this year. I've got question marks about him. We talked about that the day after he got drafted with the injury stuff. Like, he's so far so good during camp. He's been on the field.
Yeah, but you should feel better about him, Heidi.
There's a difference between practice to regular season games. I understand all that. But, I mean, I got an open mind on him this year. I'd like to see him on the field.
Yeah.
See what happens there.
I think it's been encouraging. I think it has been. I think the top four corners right now, provided Molden gets healthy, and it's the best top four corner situation for the Tennessee Titans in, I would argue, a long time.
Kevin on the text line says, got to give J-Rob credit for Vrabel. He fired a playoff coach in order to get the star coach. There's that.
No doubt. And if you want to go back and read my Tennessean column when it happened, I was not a fan of the move at the time. I don't remember. I think there was a lot of questioning of that, although there was also some issues with Malarkey, and people were mad at Terry Rubisky, and that's kind of what J-Rob confirmed at the presser after the firing.
Yeah.
But it was a bold move, and it was for a guy who had one season as a D coordinator and had like the 30th ranked defense. Granted, all his key players were hurt, but you didn't know at that point that Vrabel was going to be what he's become, or maybe J-Rob did. All I know is it looks pretty smart right now.
Well, it does. Now, the other part of this conversation is there is a salary cap, and I feel like last year a very valid criticism of John Robinson was you basically did nothing to address tight end last year, and it was a problem. Like, the tight end was a problem for the Titans last year. You thought it was good enough with Ferkser, and it just wasn't. It was not good enough. Obviously, they've addressed that. By the way, I thought Chig looked pretty good the other night out there in the preseason game. So you've got Hooper, you've got Okonkwo. I feel a ton better about the tight end position heading into this year. And now there's offensive line. Now, what you can't say is they haven't addressed it because they spent a first-round pick and then a second-round pick and now a third-round pick on right tackle.
Yeah, they've spent draft capital.
They've certainly attempted to address it. I guess the question is, should you, if you were John Robinson and the Titans, and we won't know this, I don't think, until we get into the season, but should you maybe have gone and acquired a right tackle via free agency this offseason? I don't know. Maybe they still will.
Right. Like, does offensive line, is that this year's tight end? They expressed confidence that they liked their group. It wasn't good enough last year. So is that – because the thing is, it hurts you more if it's the offensive line, right?
Yeah.
And the offensive line took a big step backward last year. I do think that some of the belief about improvement this year revolves around Lewan being Taylor Lewan this year and not being a shell of Taylor Lewan as he was for the first half of last year. But, yeah, that's the big question. If they have a disappointing season and it has a lot to do with the offensive line or has a lot to do with a receiving core that we still don't know how good it's going to be and still doesn't have A.J. Brown and still doesn't necessarily scare a single DC out there, well, John Robinson will be rightfully criticized for that. But you're still talking like there's that, and unless we're talking complete disaster, there's still a long way from that to hot seat.
Well, that's the thing where I think the narrative can start to change a little bit on J-Rob this year. If it's worst case scenario and the receiving core is just not good enough, and AJ goes to Philadelphia and he just totally lights it up, that's when there's going to be a lot of people looking at J-Rob and saying, dude, what was that? You couldn't try to figure that out? But, I really don't think either one of those things are going to happen. I think A.J. Brown's going to be really good. I don't know if he's going to put up like 1,600 yards. And I think the Titans receiving core will be fine. I don't think it's going to be elite, but I never thought the receiving core was going to be elite because I still think there are limitations to what Tannehill is in the regular season, number one. And number two, they like to run the ball a lot. Like they're going to run the ball a ton, whether A.J. Brown was here or whether he wasn't. So I don't think that scenario is going to come to pass. I think the receiving core will be fine.
Yeah. And is fine good enough?
I don't know.
It is if you run the ball really well and you get the ball to the tight end, you have protection. You don't necessarily – but and also you do have to me, like you have to have some vertical presence. So I think they really want to try to do that this year. I can't ignore what I'm seeing in practice. So McMath, Burks, do they get some of that? To that discussion, by the way, I mentioned earlier A.J. Brown early in the season, didn't play a lot, right, as a rookie. So first 8 games of 2019 for A.J. Brown, 42% of snaps, 46, 49, 42. Okay, so that's around 20-ish snaps in those games, first 4 games. Then you go 65%, 58%, 63%, 61%. So you see where week 5 for A.J. Brown, his rookie year, it started to click. And he started to, and by the end of that year, we all knew, before that, we knew
he's their best receiver.
This guy's special. Yeah. So now if something like that happens with Treylon Burks this year, which to me right now, I'm not saying it will. I have a hard time predicting that. But if something like that happens this year, then certainly I like where things end up with the offense.
I got a texter that says if they don't win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years, then they may be at their peak and need to move on to I don't know who.
Talking about GM,
I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happens. At some point, it's hard to be a GM in pro sports and absorb the inevitable downturn. The cyclical nature of pro sports is that you're going to at some point, Derrick Henry and Tannehill and Simmons, and it's hard to maintain consistency. So yeah, that's possible. But right now at this moment, he's had a tremendous tenure as GM.
Heidi texting back in says they should have kept Conklin and Kelly.
Yeah. I mean, you can make the case.
Certainly.
Yeah. No, for sure. Heidi is hard to please today on the J-Rob front.
Very hard to please on the J-Rob front. More of your thoughts on the Titans coming up next. We'll give our final thoughts on the Titans and their preseason performance against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Look ahead to practice this week against Kyler Murray. Call of Duty playing Arizona Cardinals coming up. Looking forward to that. Going to be a fun week here in Nashville. I've been looking forward to this for like 2 weeks, Rexrode.
You better get your jokes all sharpened up for next week, buddy. Or
Or
this week.
I can't wait. 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3, The Game.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture eats strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with 3-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best Award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. It's back to school season, and Hiller is giving you free backyard upgrades all month long. Tackle those necessary home replacements in August to take advantage of these special deals, like a free Yeti Tundra cooler with the purchase of a new tankless water heater, a free Traeger wood pellet grill with the purchase of a new whole home generator, and also Hiller's going to keep you cool for back to school with special limited time financing promotions on these HVAC replacements. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Happy you'll be, or the service is free.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
This should be 8x7.
When it comes to closets, Janina's home organization business runs tip-top tidy.
Is this schedule right? I'm gonna need help.
But she needs to reorganize and find a new assistant.
I know, it's your last week, but can you make sure the Hanson pantry's wrapped?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
For more than 60 years, AARP has been fighting to make prescription drugs more affordable for older Americans. AARP's CEO, Joanne Jenkins, weighs in on the recent signing of the Inflation Reduction Act.
For the first time, Medicare will be able to negotiate with drug companies for lower prices. This will put money back into the pockets of tens of millions of seniors.
Starting in 2025, seniors with Medicare Part D drug plans will have out-of-pocket costs capped at $2,000 a year. The act also caps the cost of Medicare-covered insulin at $35 a month and eliminates out-of-pocket costs for most vaccines. In addition, Americans with ACA health insurance plans may see cheaper rates on the marketplace.
Seniors should never have to choose between paying for needed medicine or other necessities like food or rent.
To learn more about how this legislation affects prescription drug costs, visit aarp.org/rx. Again, that's aarp.org/rx.
Chase McCabe.
Competition in all positions.
Willie Donick.
You know what? I went on the radio and I tried.
And Derek Mason.
The man that sleeps on the floor never falls out to bed.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's Best Sports Talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, hold on. Oh, hold on. I got some breaking news.
Okay.
How about this? All right, dude, how many emails, like press release emails, am I reading on the show lately? It's like getting really good. Ready for this?
I'm ready.
It's from Andrew Agan. Hi, Joe. Hooters is redefining what it means to be the big man on campus, signing offensive linemen from Vanderbilt University to NIL deals. These players include Bradley Ashmore, Jake Ketchuk, Gage Pitchford, Junior Azebu, Julian Hernandez, and Gunnar Hansen.
Okay.
Heck yeah. Congratulations, fellas. Hooters, NIL deal, Vanderbilt offensive line, and by the way, they get to spend all week in Hawaii. Life is good.
Not bad.
Life is good for a Vanderbilt offensive lineman.
The Grease Gang. That's their name.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. The Grease Gang. Yeah.
Interesting
there
name.
Are jokes that I'm not going to use right now. Okay. Let's move on.
Like every segment.
So Professor K is like,
Joe
oh, God. Put me in the corner.
By the way, we've not talked about this yet. An NFL record established this weekend. The Baltimore Ravens won their 22nd consecutive preseason football game. The record in the National Football League. Congratulations to the Baltimore Ravens. Big deal up there.
Coach Harbaugh, congratulations. That's amazing stuff.
22 in a row in the preseason.
I mean, I honestly don't recall actually hearing what Harbaugh has said about this stuff. Like, does he just blow it off, or is he actually like, yes, we take pride in this? I just think it's so funny.
I think what I've seen him say about it before is the well, anytime you take the field, you're trying to
win. Sure, it's better to win than lose.
Yeah.
I mean, you see on Hard Knocks,
like you can lose preseason games by like accident. Like it just
I mean, again,
22 in a row.
Right. Like just the idea that you would never be in a situation where like, okay, let's look at this, and then the other team's third string quarterback happens to score on your fourth string. I mean,
maybe their third stringer is just way better than everybody else.
Maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe it speaks to the incredible depth on their roster consistently over time. So what is that? That's about 6 years?
Yeah.
6 years worth of not losing the preseason. Man, very exciting.
Very, very exciting. Josh on the text line says, Titans have the coach. I believe we have the GM. We just don't have the quarterback at the moment. This is from Josh on the text line. That's going to be, I mean, eventually we can talk about all these things. And we threw out the question earlier. Do the Titans have what it takes to compete with the AFC's elite? Well, that's eventually what we're going to get back to in terms of figuring out the answer this year. Yeah, it's the defense. Yes, it's Derrick Henry. Yes, you're going to need, good play from the receiving group. But ultimately, it's a quarterback league, man. Like, can Tannehill play well enough this year to put you in that spot? And then if he does, can he play well enough in January? That's ultimately what we're going to get back to.
The answer has been here. The answer is all in camp.
Yeah.
Today, what does he do? What week does today correspond with in the season? I'm being facetious. I'll stop. Now, of course, it's going to come all the way back to that. Tannehill's had a good camp. He always does have a good camp. And we'll see. We'll see. I think but look, he is in a very different spot in terms of last year. It was like, let me prove to the NFL that I'm one of the elite guys. And this year, it's let me prove to the Tennessee Titans that I should be their quarterback after this year. That's a very different
It
mindset.
is, although I will say right now, I mean, the gap between Ryan Tannehill and every other quarterback on this roster right now, Adam Vingan used the word chasmic, the gap between the Predators and the Avalanche at the end of last year. It's probably the same word I'd use for this. Like, it's a chasmic gap between Ryan Tannehill and every other quarterback on this roster right now.
No doubt. Now, the people who now the Titans fans who are talking about Malik Willis or the analysts about Malik Willis this year, dial a clue.
Come on.
It's just like you got to be better than that. Titans fans who are big believers in Malik Willis who hope that there's not a chasmic gap next year, I'm not ruling that out as a possibility, but
sure.
it's a lot of work.
There's a whole lot of work it's going to have to be done before now.
A lot of work, and a lot of things have got to consistently break the right way and go a lot better than they are right now. I'm not ruling it out, but I'm with you. Right now, I would predict that Ryan Tannehill is the Tennessee Titans quarterback in 2023 as well.
Liam on the text line says, I know it's kind of sarcastic, but please don't ever congratulate the Ravens for anything. Sorry. Ravens, people still not big fans of the Ravens around here.
Yeah, I think the Ravens might be really good this year.
I think they might be,
I think the Ravens are
that goes like
right there.
We start talking about the AFC's elite. We talked about Buffalo. Obviously, Kansas City, until they're not Kansas City anymore, is going to be in that mix. Like I think there's a chance Baltimore could be in that mix as well. I know everybody's talking about the AFC West, and I get it. Baltimore, I think, has a chance to be pretty good this year. I still have big questions about their receiving core. That, to me, is the one area that I look at, and I'm just like, I don't know if that's going to be good enough.
Yep.
But defensively, I think they should be really good. If Lamar stays healthy, I think he's going to be really good.
And keep those running backs healthy.
Keep the running backs healthy. I think they're going to be a part of that group as well.
I do too. I might pick them to win their division. To me, Bengals Ravens is a really interesting, tough call, kind of like Colts Titans is to me.
Wes in Clarksville on the text line. If Tannehill balls out this year, will they keep him and sign him to a new deal?
It depends on what that means. What does balling out mean? Does it mean he balls out and wins at least a playoff game? I mean, what does that consist of? You know, I mean, I have thought about that. Like, certainly Tannehill could get another deal from the Titans. He could also be playing his last year for them. It's a fascinating point in his career.
It is. Now, there is something to keep in mind. Like, there's a difference between playing another year for the Titans and signing a new deal. Like, there's an in-between there. Like,
but there is a potential that they're so happy with how this year went that another couple of years is coming. I mean, that's possible.
Yeah.
Right now he's under contract, and I think the way they're looking at it is that Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill are under contract for the next 2 years. And let's see how things play out. But I think the balling out would have to be some serious balling out for that to change.
I think it would. Warren asking how much does Tannehill have left on his contract. Well, he's through 2023. His base salary is $27 million, cap hit $36 million, and I think he's got the 2 voidable years after that. So they could get out of it next year.
Yes.
And it would still cost him something. It's way more tolerable than it was this past year when it was like, what was the dead tax?
57.
Like $57 million.
Yeah. Now, you could do it if it's like you got to do it, you can do it after this year. But again, like, for what? I mean, maybe Malik Willis. Yeah. By the end of the season, they're like, yep, that's it. He's going to be the guy. But if you watch him play now and consider that seems awfully far-fetched.
But honestly, though, like even now with the money that you've got, unless you're just convinced heading into next season, even before camp, that Malik Willis is your guy and he's going to be your starting quarterback. And, you know, based on the way things are going right now, I don't know how you're going to be convinced of that next year.
I don't either.
Like,
I don't know what information could be there. You know, because once you get in the season, you know, either he's preparing as a backup or he's helping the show team.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then how would you know? How would you be convinced?
So there's I think there's a chance, you know, Malik Willis, maybe he gets a lot better and he could push at camp next year. Mm-hmm. But even then, wouldn't you still like to have Ryan Tannehill on the team?
I would think so. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So I'm becoming it's less and less likely to me. And, you know, I had a big open mind about this all offseason long. But, you know, so far in camp, I think it's way less likely to me, as we sit here today, that they're just moving on from Tannehill after this year. Even if Willis is a part of the plan next year.
I mean, honestly, the most likely way that happens is they are convinced Willis isn't the answer. Tannehill has a bad year, and then they've got to go get new
somebody
starter.
Else. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we're circling all the way back around to
Mariota.
Maybe he just has an incredible year in Atlanta. I don't know. We'll see what happens. That's going to do it for us today here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow. Chase, Willie, and D-Mays coming up next. This is 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
The MTSU Blue Raiders live here.